years. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And by Texaco, star of the American road. And by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota Quality. Who could ask for anything more? And by Fiesta. Discover for yourself Fiesta. From the Astrodome in Houston, Texas, Home Sports Entertainment presents the best in Major League Baseball. And tonight, the Astros take on the New York Mets. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Worrell, along with Bill Brown. We're glad you could join us for this third game of the series. The Mets taking Game 1. The Astros coming back behind Mike Scott to take Game 2 yesterday. And if the Mets didn't have enough problems taking infield tonight, Dave Magadan strained his back and had to limp to the dugout. So the Mets are having to scratch Magadan out of the starting lineup, and he's in there taking the place of the injured Keith Hernandez.
That's all they need, Bill. And then they got news today, as Dwight Gooden was examined, that he has a slight tear in the front of the shoulder. He'll be out for probably an additional 3 to 4 weeks. Maybe around the 1st of August he'll be back.
So what do you do if you're Davey Johnson? You move Tim Tuffle to first base. I wonder if he's ever played that position before, and Greg Jeffries goes to second.
Well, Jeffries has to be happy because this move gets him into the lineup, but Magadan is a 400-plus lifetime hitter against the Astros, so even though he is a left-hander going against a lefty, Bob Knepper, he's done very well.
Well, talking about Bob Knepper, he is in the throes of a terrible season up to now. Would like to right the ship, the sinking ship, so to speak, and get back, and if he can't beat this Mets team, who do you beat?
Well, it's a very important start for Bob. He knows it. Everybody else knows it. He just really has to show something this time around, and Ron Darling has been pitching well. He beat Cincinnati and got a lot of run support in his last start. He's now 6-5, and he owns a victory over the Astros earlier this year.
You know, really, it puts a lot of pressure on a team if you want to look at it from the other way. The Astros know they must beat the Mets team, or at least the one they're putting on the field right now.
Well, that's why it is such an important ball game. Of course, the injuries have deprived the Mets of a lot of their offense right now, Bill, but they're still a competitive team, and they showed that against Deshays in the opener of this series. They have a good record against left-handers, and Knepper has to find what works for him in a hurry tonight.
The Astros and the Mets, Game 3 of this 3-game series, and we'll be back with the first pitch in just a moment right here on HSE. Hi again, everybody. Welcome back to the Astrodome for Game 3 of the series. And here's the defense for Houston. Glenn Davis at first base. Bill Doran at second. Rafael Ramirez at shortstop, and Ken Caminetti at third. In the outfield, it's Hatcher, Young, and Poole. Craig Biggio will be behind the plate. And on the mound will be the left-hander Bob Knepper, 3-9 with a 5.03 ERA this season. He has lost his last 3 decisions in his last 6 starts. His last win, you got to go back to May the 29th at St. Louis when he won the game 3-2. And Knepper going after his 140th career win tonight. Lifetime against the Mets, he's done quite well. 12-15 with a 2.90 ERA. The lineup, well, this is the one that Davey Johnson's sending out tonight. This team is battered and bruised. It'll be Juan Samuel, Mark Carrion, Howard Johnson, McReynolds, Tuffle, Jeffries, Lombardi, Elster, and Ron Darling. So it's Knepper going against the Mets. The Astros trying to make it 2 out of 3. Off day tomorrow with Montreal coming in Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And here to call tonight's game for you is Bill Brown.
Thanks, Bill. You saw that nice close-up of Bob Knepper, and you wonder perhaps what is going through his mind right now. He's taking just a little time to gather himself. There might be more than the usual pregame feeling for Bob because he has been struggling so much this year. And he'll want to get started right away against Juan Samuel, a leadoff man who can hit the ball sharply with 8 homers, 21 runs batted in. There's ball 1. Samuel hitting .233, but since he joined the Mets, he's only a .171 hitter. Still, he has 4 leadoff homers this year, 14 in his career. 2 balls and no strikes. This is pretty much the story of Bob Knepper's problems this year. He has been getting behind the hitters, trying to pick away at corners and not succeeding. That could be an important call for him. 2-1. Tom Hallion made that call. He's joined by Fred Brocklander at first, Bob Engel at second, Paul Runge at third. balls and 2 strikes. Phil Garner, the Astros coach, made the point today, and of course he played many games behind Bob Knepper. He felt the best game Bob has ever pitched, as far as what Phil has seen him do, was that playoff game, as you well remember, against the Mets in 1986. Samuel strikes out on a ball in the dirt. So Knepper opens in impressive fashion with a K.
This is really where the Mets miss Lenny Dykstra, I think, at the top of the lineup. Much more patient hitter. Samuel's a free swinger, and I don't know whether he's going to be able to get on base enough to set the table for those big sluggers when Strawberry comes back.
Good point, Bill. Mark Carrion was elevated from the number 6 spot to number 2 when Magadan went out of the lineup with his injury. Mark hitting .231, 3 homers, 6 runs batted in. Takes a ball. He was hitting .279 at Tidewater before he was recalled. 2 of the 3 homers pinch hit, and the other one came off Jim Deshaies in the opener of this series. Two balls and no strikes. Back to Phil Garner's recollections of that League Championship Series game from Knepper. He said he was hitting the inside corner that day and really opened up the plate for him.
Billy really had tough luck in that game. One of the best pitch games I've ever seen against a tough New York club under pressure conditions. 6th game and all. And a couple of bad bounces cost Knepper the ball game.
So he's done that work against the Mets here at the Dome. 6 complete games, 3 shutouts, 6 and 5 with a .226 ERA against the Mets here. Sharply, Knepper gloved it and threw him out. That one was earmarked for a base hit up the middle. 2 out.
Bob's always been a good fielding pitcher. Takes a lot of pride in fielding that position. He's good on bunts. Pretty good with the glove. We saw him make a play last year where he had to run over and glove one and then throw it to first without ever putting his throwing hand on the ball.
A red-hot Howard Johnson has 22 homers. He's driven in 54. 2nd in the league in home runs, 4th in runs batted in, 9th in batting average at .293. But Johnson in this series is 0 for 6 with a walk. Knepper throws ball 1.
You know, I was watching him at the batting cage tonight. For a little guy, and what I mean, he's you know, not as big as some of your normal sluggers are in the league. He really generates a lot of bat power.
He sure does, especially as a left-handed hitter. Knepper missing outside. 2 balls, no strikes. So as we again relate back to what Phil Garner said, Bob Knepper, when he comes inside, is able to plant that in the hitters' minds. Otherwise, if he doesn't do that, they can just hang out over the plate and look for that pitch over the outside part. 3 balls and no strikes. He's working very carefully to Johnson. Howard 2nd in the league in slugging at .616. 2nd in total bases with 170. Tied for 3rd in runs scored with 54. He is by far the Mets' most valuable player so far this year, they say. And he takes the walk.
Bill, you almost have to expect this if you're Howard Johnson. You're surrounded by Samuel, Carrion. Now McReynolds is a good man to have hitting behind you, but then it's Tuffle, Jeffries, Lombardi, and Elster. So you really have to pitch around Howard Johnson.
Johnson can steal a base, as he demonstrated in the opener of this series. He has 15 steals in 18 tries. McReynolds has a .288 batting average, 7 homers, 36 runs batted in. 2 for 6 in this series with an important RBI in the opener. And there's strike 1. Kevin, who's hitting .333 in his last 14 games. Former Razorback got his big RBI single in the 6th inning off Deshaies to tie it Monday night at 1, and then the Mets had their back-to-back homers in the 7th from Tuffle and Carrion. Ramirez plays him around to pull at short, and Doran is shaded up the middle. Knepper's last start at Montreal brought a 6-1 loss. In 6 innings, he gave up 9 hits and 6 runs, 5 earned. He had Johnson leaning, but Fred Brocklander ruled that he got back just ahead of the tag by Davis.
Brocklander had to do a double shuffle because he wasn't sure what he was going to call. See him lean to second. Oh, I'm caught. Had the throw been lower, he'd have been out. But the throw was a little high, and Davis couldn't get it down in time. Good call.
No balls, 1 strike on McReynolds, 2 outs, and Johnson at first in the first. Knepper makes another move to first base. The Mets have fared well against left-handed starters. Their record 17-8. 92 wins in a Houston uniform. Knepper's been trying for the 140th of his career for quite some time now. As you mentioned, Bill, his last win the 29th of May, although he's pitched well several times since then.
That near pickoff by Knepper may be just enough to give Biggio an edge if he can hold Johnson close.
Pitch out. Biggio's throw over the bag, safe. Johnson gets the steal and beats the pitch out for his 16th steal.
Well, that just took too much time. That was maybe, well, I don't want to use the term sloppy. It just wasn't an effective pitch out. He has to come way outside, watch him double clutch and take the big step. Now, Biggio's taking just too much time to get rid of that ball.
There was a problem in Montreal when Biggio was called for catcher's interference. Knepper with a pitch out didn't get it far enough out away from the plate, and the hitter swung the bat and hit Biggio's hand, giving him a swollen finger. 1 ball, 1 strike. Broken bat. Ramirez. Knepper came inside and made his pitch for the 3rd out. No runs, no hits, a man left. And after 1/2 inning, Bob Knepper has a 0 on the scoreboard. The Astros take their turn against Ron Darling in just a moment.
Let's set the defense for the New York Mets. It'll be Tim Tuffle at first base, Greg Jeffries at second, Kevin Elster at shortstop, and Howard Johnson at third. In the outfield, Kevin McReynolds, Juan Samuel, and Mark Carrion. Phil Lombardi will be behind the plate. A couple of catchers for the Mets on the disabled list. And on the mound will be the right-hander Ron Darling, 6-5 on the season with a 4.13 ERA. He's making his 17th start of the season. Has won 6 of his last 8 decisions, and in his last start he beat the Cincinnati Reds by the score of 11-1, and in that game also had his 2nd home run of the season. Well, he'll be facing Hatcher, Young, Doran, Davis, Poole, Caminetti, Ramirez, Biggio, and Knepper.
Ron Darling, the Yale University product, takes his time before going against the Astros for the 2nd time this year. He had that 5-1 win against Knepper and the Astros here on the 29th of April. And he had a bases loaded threat in that game in the 1st inning, but got Ken Caminetti to get out of trouble. The only run that scored was an unearned run after he made an error. Billy Hatcher, who drew a couple more walks last night, takes a strike. Hatcher's really been showing, in fact, he had 3 walks in that game and 2 the night before, that he can reach on the bases on balls. 5 in this series, hitting .228, 3 homers, 33 runs batted in. No balls and 2 strikes. Billy with 7 hits in his last 46 at bats, but his mission is to get on base, and he certainly has done that in this series. 0 for 4, but the 5 walks, and he has stolen a base. That tells the story of what Hatcher has done. 1-2. The last time when Ron Darling and the Mets came to the Dome, they were very concerned about his work, Bill. He started the year 0-3 with an ERA over 8 and just didn't have much velocity on the ball.
You know, though, Bill, I think he takes a lot of undue heat playing in New York with all of the media attention. Movie star good looks, the name Ron Darling, they expect him to win 21 games every year, but I think consistency when you're the number 3 starter is the byword for New York, and he has certainly given them that. He wins wins anywhere from 12 to 17 games the last 5 years. He'll always throw 200+ innings every season. What more do you want when you're pitching behind Gooden? And you've got Fernandez in that rotation and David Cone. I think he's done an excellent job.
Hatcher pulls it, but will it stay fair? It does not. And Billy will come back with another 3-2 pitch. You're right about Darling's record. It's hard to find too much fault with it. Of course, bearing in mind that he's been pitching for the best team as far as consistency during that time in the National League. But still, he's been winning. And in fact, he's had 5 straight years winning in double figures and losing in single figures.
Right.
In total, his record and his 79 wins and 46 losses.
And when you've got a big game you want to win, he's a nice clutch pitcher to have on the mound. He's got a good repertoire of pitches.
Hatcher gets his base hit to left. He has really been providing a spark in this series.
He's a tough out, isn't he?
He really is. He got a pretty good swing on the ball that went foul and came right back with another one, Bill.
I love to watch Hatcher play. You get 110% from this guy. Even as we talked to him a couple of weeks ago about the fact that he wasn't hitting, he was in a slump, but he was winning games with his defense and with his speed on the base paths. And there's so many ways this guy can affect the outcome of a ball game. He's a gamer.
Tuffle playing first, holding on Hatcher, who has 14 steals. Darling will check him. Ron has an outstanding move. That was not his good move. And he also has a good release to the plate. Gerald Young at 234 has really been on a roll. Not only as the play is pretty close at first in base hits, but also in knocking in runs. He now has 21. Remembering back to that 22-inning game against the Dodgers, after that game in which Young was hitless, he was hitting 183. He's really come a long way. 3-game hitting streak right now, 5 for 11. It's called a strike, 0-1.
Darling is like having another infielder. He'll come off of that mound. He has cat-quick moves fielding a bunt, so it's awfully difficult to sacrifice against Darling. A lot of times he'll cover that third base side of the pitcher's mound, so it's especially hard to bunt a runner to third base.
He throws it away. Hatcher gets up, and he should be able to make third, which he will do. Darling's third error of the year and his second against the Astros puts Hatcher on third base.
Before we give the error to Darling too soon, I'd like to see the replay. Remember, you've got a second baseman playing first base, Tim Tuffle. Darling is used to having Hernandez and Magadan at first. Now, let's look at this throw again. Well, that's a play I think Hernandez would make. Even though it bounced in and got under him, don't you think Keith may have made this play?
Well, he's among the best.
Yeah, it's just something, you know, a pitcher is a creature of habit like everybody else out there. If he's used to throwing to a backstop at first base like a Hernandez or a Magadan, sometimes he's not as careful as he would normally be.
That's a point. The infield stays back with nobody out, and Young hits one to second. Hatcher took a step and went back as Jeffries gets out number 1 on Young. The ball was not hit sharply, but Billy might not have been able to read that too well coming off the bat.
Good point. That's exactly what happened. The second baseman, Jeffries, was playing back far enough for Hatcher to score, but it was a humpback type liner. And from his position at third base, it looked like that Jeffries would have a chance to catch it in the air. And you certainly don't want to be doubled off with nobody out in the inning.
Better to take the cautious approach with nobody out, and Doran and Davis do up next.
Right.
Billy with 8 homers, 47 runs batted in, and a .270 average. Tough pitch from Darling, strike 1.
Slow curveball. He has an excellent curve, good slider, average fastball, but he mixes his pitches so well. He's even been working with a split finger. Now watch this curveball, and when you pull the string on it, whoop, you get way out front.
Billy Doran 3 for 7 in this series with an RBI. The infield stays back except Tuffle and Johnson at the corners. And that pitch is high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Doran is tied for 4th in the league in base hits with 85, hitting .279 as a left-handed batter. And everybody around the Houston area, Billy Doran supporters, hoping he'll be among those named as the National League reserve come tomorrow night. Oh, Darling is really making some pitches here. 1-2 the count.
What makes it so tough, it's hard to identify until it gets right up to the plate and the bottom falls out. Doran tried to stay with that one as long as possible, but what happens when you start waiting on that pitch? Darling sneaks one of those 86-mile-per-hour fastballs by you. He can throw it as hard as 90 miles per hour too.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Doran might have been thinking fly ball. Maybe Darling thought if he threw one just a little bit up out of the strike zone, he could get him to chase it. Didn't work that time.
Had Doran and Strawberry comparing big toes at the batting cage tonight. They're both hurting. You don't know how important that big toe is till you get whacked on it.
You feel it every step of the way. 2-2 the count. Hatcher scores. He really did a nice job to make contact and get it in the right spot up the middle. 1-0 Astros on Doran's 48th run batted in.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ryan Sandberg and Robbie Thompson are excellent second basemen. No argument from me on that, but this is my all-star this season. What more can you ask for than what Billy Doran is doing? 48 RBIs. He now leads the ball club in RBIs, and he's one of the best darn fielders anywhere in baseball. He has done it all.
He gives the Astros a 1-0 lead. So they got their pick-me-up from Doran after Young grounded out, and now Glenn Davis tries to keep things going. 16 homers, 47 runs batted in, a .253 average. Darling makes another throw to first. The Astros are 2nd in the league in stolen bases with 89. And the Mets have been somewhat susceptible to steals. They've surrendered 87 this year in 126 tries. Doran is going. Davis takes. The throw is sailing into center. Doran will go to third base. Lombardi, who hasn't done much catching this year, fired the ball into center. Doran gets a steal on the error by Lombardi. He continues to third. That's his 14th steal.
Also, we need to remind you, Lombardi's had a lot of knee surgery. We talked about that in game 1 of the series. He's a little tough coming out of that crouch. Now here's another facet of the game Doran doesn't get enough appreciation for. That's his 14th stolen base of the season. So not only does he steal bases and drives in runs and feels his position, my goodness, talk about a gamer. I always want this guy on my side.
Now Davis with the 0-1 count has Doran at third and 1 out. The infield plays it back. Tuffle well off the first base line. Davis moved back away from it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, when you look at players on the DL, you think about offense and lack of offense, and we've talked about that in this series. But what really hurts the Mets, those players on the DL contribute so much to their good defense, and they already have 2 errors in this inning.
And both those errors have placed a runner from first to third.
Exactly.
And a strike. Pitching really has been at the forefront of the Mets' success, and good defensive play to support that pitching. A big part of it, as you have mentioned, Bill, and that doesn't happen, and the club is not scoring runs the way when Strawberry and Carter and Hernandez are hitting and in the lineup. It does. Sometimes the pitcher will press a little bit.
Yeah, Bill, and Carter's not that great at throwing out runners, but he's such an excellent field general. It's so nice to have him out there, especially if you're a pitcher, the way he runs the show. And Hernandez, same way.
Davis takes ball 3. It's 3-1 now. The Astros lead 1-0 in the first.
We've seen Davis go to right field in this series more than I've seen him consistently all season long. And if you notice, Carrion's staying at home tonight. Most of the time, the right fielder will move over a lot more towards center field, but he's almost straight away, and Tuffle is way off the bag at first. Look at that.
And the center fielder. Samuel straight away for Davis. That's an interesting point. It's going foul outside the left field line. Up into the mezzanine. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Isn't it just wonderful how the crowd reacts to a home run slugger? Did you hear the oohs and the ahs when that ball took off? Pitcher doesn't like it. Just a little bit around too soon. Look how he cleared out those hips. He had home run written all over that one.
Darling has surrendered 11 long balls this year at 98 innings of work. (3-2) the count. Ball 4. Davis accepts the walk, bringing up a hot Terry Poole. Darling's 39th walk of the year in his 99th inning. Poole had quite a game last night to make him now 7 for 14 against the Mets this season with 5 runs batted in. He had 3 in that ball game last night. His average has climbed to .294. Single, double, triple, and a walk. And as he told you last night, what, that's a little man's cycle?
Yeah, I've never heard that before. That's great.
Strike 1 call to Poole. Terry's a .316 lifetime hitter against the Mets. Hitting .351 for his last 16 games.
You know, I asked him what he'd have done if he'd have gotten up there in the 8th inning. He said, I would have taken up that 36 bat.
One ball, 1 strike. Caminetti waiting. Bob Knepper has to feel pretty good about this early run support. But right here, the Astros have a chance to make a big improvement. Already from 1-0. Runners at the corners and 1 out. Poole has grounded into 3 double plays this year. 197 at-bats so far. Sometimes Davis will go on a hit-and-run situation. And Poole would be good in that situation to make contact and hit the ball somewhere. He's going. The throw isn't made. Davis gets a stolen base. Lombardi looked at Billy Doran and chose not to make the throw. 3rd stolen base of the year for Davis.
Davis didn't look like he had that good a jump, but Lombardi was concerned with Doran. For some reason, never made the throw. And the ball was called strike 2.
No, not the hit and run, but Davis stealing the base. And the count is 1-2 now with the ground ball double play erased with 1 out. Tough pitch, and Poole strikes out. So Darling can work his way out of it if he gets Caminetti.
Boy, this pitch is the same pitch he got Doran on twice, swinging. You know, the bottom just falls out of that. It's a nice little changeup. Split finger, isn't it?
Yes, it is. He throws that pitch pretty well. He's been working it more and more into his repertoire. Caminetti went 0 for 3 the first time he saw Darling this year, including that bases loaded confrontation in the first inning of that game. Hitting .245, 5 homers, 38 runs batted in. He gets a breaking ball over the outside corner in a very tough location for a strike. Caminetti 1 for 6 in this series with a run batted in. He could make this hit a very big one if he can get it. But Doran at 3rd and Davis at 2nd and a 1-0 lead. last time Darling lost to the Astros was July of 1986, 3-0. 6-3 lifetime. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's a very interesting challenge here for Caminetti, who very often this year has come through in these situations. 2 outs, men in scoring position. He has really improved and has not gotten to be so anxious at the plate.
What you're saying, those 38 RBIs, a lot of them have come as big ones.
They certainly have.
He seems to show a lot more patience when he has a big at bat.
One and two. Darling continues to work the outside corner.
Well, that is a tough pitch he's got right there. He's changing it up with a fastball occasionally. The problem is he's not getting his fastball in for strikes. But this off-speed split finger, he's throwing to perfection, and you couldn't hit that if you had 2 bats up there.
He is really pitching right now, and he's ahead in the count, 1-2. Two balls, 2 strikes. That's the thing that you might point out about Caminetti. He seems to be more relaxed, and he has a better idea about the strike zone, even when he's behind in the count now, Bill, than he did last year. Ramirez is on deck. It's 1-0 Astros in the first.
See if Darling comes back with a split finger. He's thrown it the last 3 pitches, so he's given Caminetti a good look at it.
Deep and gets him as Darling does a nice job of working out of further trouble in the first, but the Astros do get a run on 2 hits with the help of 2 errors. 2 men left. After 1, it's 1-0 Houston.
Will you?
Not tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Next week sometime. 1-0. The Astros lead it, and Bob Knepper had walked Johnson with 2 outs in the first inning, but after Howard stole second, he got McReynolds on a pop-up. So now he starts the second with the 1-run lead, facing Tuffle, Jeffries, and Lombardi. Tim Tuffle's hitting .245 with a homer and 7 runs batted in. The home run came in the opener of the series, and then he doubled last night to right center field, but his home run in the 7th inning, as he told Bill Worrell, he remembered the ball that wasn't called a home run. He hit last year above the yellow line, but the umpires ruled it to be in play. It was his first homer since last September. Tuffle looks at ball 1. In recent years, of course, he's been platooned more and more at second base when he and Wally Backman were sharing the position. Fair ball. Caminetti knocks it down, recovers, and fires. Davis stretches safe. Throw pulled him off the bag, but there was a tremendous effort on both corners there. And Caminetti made a very quick recovery to barehand the ball after he knocked it down.
What really makes this a tough play, not only is the ball hit hard, but it hits in the dirt portion of the infield and then bounces up. Caminetti has to knock it down, come up throwing, and Davis did a good job of trying to stay on the bag. Oh, it was a long stretch.
Belly flopper, failed to get the job done. He did everything within his power, as did Caminetti, but it's a base hit anyway for Tuffle. Greg Jeffries is hitting .220 with a homer, 24 runs batted in. And there's strike 1 to Jeffries, who's hitting .300 for his last 80 at-bats. He, like Gerald Young, has come a long way in batting average. In fact, they're in that similar range, although Young now is hitting 14 points higher than Jeffries. But just 3 days later, after Young was hitting 183, Jeffries was at 182. So he's traveled that same road. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, they're both fine players, and they're going to play a lot of years in the major leagues. This youngster has been most valuable player at every level of baseball, starting with the Little League all the way up now to New York. And with that type of resume, you've got to be an excellent player.
Time called. You've probably been able to read the stories over the last couple of years about Jeffries and his workout regimen, which is very intense. He and his father work out during the winter up to some 8 hours a day. Swings a bat in a swimming pool. He hits tennis balls from close range with numbers painted on them. 2 balls and a strike, all to help improve the hand-eye coordination and the strength. So that would make a 3-hour ball game a breeze. That kind of a workout, Bill.
Yeah. That's kind of what they have us do at HSC. Well, Mike Anastasiou has that type of workout schedule.
Sure he does. Knepper with a toss to first. The Mets are 6th in the league in steals. Of course, having traded Lenny Dykstra, they lost a good stolen base man, but Samuel is quite capable. He just hasn't been able to get on base too much for them. Well, they don't run too often. 3 balls and 1 strike.
What has really made it tough on Knepper this year, he's given up 106 hits in 96 innings. If your hit total is high, you need to keep the walks down, or vice versa. If your walks are up, you need to keep the hits down. Well, his are both up. The walks are up, the hits are up, and he's got a lot of base runs.
Caminetti short hops it, and guns in the dirt just in time. Jeffries was flying down the line. Davis saved the play at first. Caminetti's throw short hopped him. That's out number 1.
Look at that look on Ken's face. I think he had a little lapse here. He forgot who was running. Watch. See? Takes his time, and then all of a sudden he realizes it's Jeffries. And my goodness, that's close. Let's watch it again. There is the ball. Oh, he beat it in, Bill, I'm afraid. I think Mr. Brocklander missed that one.
There was really no argument from Jeffries or Bill Robinson that we saw, although Robinson was giving the safe sign from the first base coaching box. Well, the Astros may have received a break there. Lombardi the hitter now. Bill taking ball 1 down and in. He has a homer, and that came off the tough left-hander Mark Langston for Montreal. Lombardi had 3 hits in that game against the Expos. 0 for 3 as he started against DeShays, his former minor league teammate in the Yankees organization. Davis, it was hit slowly, and he can't make the pickup. Tuffle goes to third. It's an error on Davis, and that'll bring up Elster with runners at the corners and 1 out. This squirted off the end of the bat from Lombardi, cued with some English on it, and that's what gave Davis problems.
Not only that, but he's playing way off the bag because it's a right-handed hitter. See how far he has to run? He's already taken 5 steps. Now he's worried about this time of the play. He's worried as Knepper's going to be over at first waiting for the throw, and all of those things are going through your mind, and you boot it.
The Mets trailing 1-0 have Elster at the plate. Kevin's hitting .205 with 2 homers. He's driven in 19. Tuffle has reached third after his infield hit. There's a strike. It really typifies a struggling pitcher sometimes. What's happening to Bob Knepper here? The ball hasn't been hit out of the infield in this inning, and yet he's in a big jam.
Really have to pull your neck. You're looking at a .205 hitter. In some respects, Darling may be a little more dangerous hitter than Elster is. But it's a chance for Knepper to get out of this inning if he works hard on these 2 hitters. Maybe get a double play off the bat of Elster.
Elster drove in a run with a ground out last night. 1 ball, 1 strike. Davy Johnson is moving his infielders around, not necessarily platooning, but with certain pitchers on the mound and against certain opponents. Elster will play shortstop. Sometimes Howard Johnson plays short. Jeffries may play third or might play second. It could be Tuffle at second. Just patchwork for now. Pulled foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. If Elster would hit, that would solidify the whole picture, but he hasn't. He hit .214 last year. His fielding, no question about that.
Really makes you wonder where they would be had they made the trade for Howard Johnson, because to make that trade they were figuring on several things happening. As you say, you know, Jeffries developing and becoming a player, Elster becoming a player, Magadan fitting in somewhere. And that's why they were even thinking about trading Johnson. Good thing they didn't.
That was a defensive swing from Elster, staying alive at 1-2. You mentioned Bob Knepper's numbers. Of course, there is a lot more to it than just the numbers, but it does provide an interesting insight quite often into a player. Combination of hits and walks just very high for the innings pitched right now. But he needs a ground ball here. Caminetti. Doran. Davis, double play. Knepper finds his best friend. The around the horn twin killing. Number 68 of the year for the Astros. And in the middle of the second, it's still 1-0 Houston.
Tomorrow is an off day for the Astros. Friday and Saturday, Montreal comes into the Dome, but both of those are NBC national television games, Friday night and Saturday afternoon. So the only game we can televise for you will be Sunday afternoon, the final game of that series at 1:30. Then the Philadelphia Phillies on July 21st through the 23rd, and then the Dodgers come back on the 25th through the 27th as the Astros begin playing the Western Division again on that date. All right here on HSE.
Art House Club has done well against the East, Bill. 22-16 so far.
Especially on the road.
Very much so. They're only 8-12 at home against Eastern Division teams, but leading tonight 1-0 last of the second. Ramirez, Biggio, and Knepper due up against Darling. Raphael is hitting .253, 2 homers, 22 runs batted in. Strike one. Ramirez is an up and down sort. Last night he drove in a couple against Bobby Ojeda as the runners were going. Very good in those situations. He's 1 for 7 in this series. He just seems to perk up quite often when there are men on base and on the move.
Like those type of players.
Base hit right field. Same type swing he took on that hit and run double last night.
Or the same type swing he would take on the golf course. All he needed was a golf tee. I'm sure Ron Darling right now is thinking to himself, well, I would have to bounce this one in. Look at this. 4, everybody. 4. There it is.
Slap shot to right. See him lean into that swing.
Tell you what, he must be a good golfer.
Biggio's a hitter now. He's been in a spin lately. His average down to .256, 5 homers, 27 runs batted in. 1 for his last 19, 0 for 7, and was hit by a pitch in this series. Ball 1. It'll be interesting to see in this at-bat for Biggio if Art Howe puts anything on, because sometimes with a hitter who's struggling a little bit, a manager would think, let's not give him the option of deciding whether to swing or not. Let's force him to swing and see if he can deliver. That takes all the pressure and the mental burden off him. Pitcher due up next. But the pitch is inside. 2 balls, no strikes. Cincinnati and Philadelphia with another well-pitched ball game so far through 7 at the Vet. It's Philadelphia 2, Cincinnati nothing. Larry McWilliams 2-8 against Rick Mailer 8-8.
A couple of old war horses going.
Yes, sir.
How about that Browning last night?
Oh, perfect game going to the ninth. 3 balls, no strikes. He would have been the first pitcher ever to pitch 2 perfect games in a career. And it was not to be. And then Dave Schmidt had one going to the 7th in the American League for Baltimore.
This is the season with the most of those kind of almost, haven't they?
Isn't it? Yes. Biggio looks at a strike. It's 3-1 now with Knepper on deck. Talk about the Phillies, though. They've come alive a little bit since their trade. They've played 8 straight games now in which they have allowed 3 runs or fewer. And that's a big turnaround for that pitching staff. The Giants lead Pittsburgh 4-1 through 5. Trevor Wilson, the starter, Kevin Mitchell has his 28th. Runner going, and it's fouled away. 3-2 the count now as Ramirez returns.
A 3-1 count. And that's a good count to call a hit and run on, because you would think Darling certainly doesn't want to walk Biggio. But the ball was out of the strike zone.
You and Enos probably talked about the starting teams in the All-Star game named today. Of course, Mitchell with his 28th will be there among the starting outfielders in the National. Ramirez goes again on 3-2, and Biggio hits one to Samuel in left center. 1 out.
I don't think Craig is big and strong enough at this stage of his career to hit the ball very far straight away. He has been able to come up with his 5 home runs by turning on the ball and hitting it to left field. That power will come the older he gets.
Mike Scott, last night's winner, on the bench there with a 14 victory total under his belt already. He'll be headed for the All-Star game, we are sure, but probably not to pitch, because he's due to start on Sunday against Montreal.
That's why Lasorda is going to have some problems picking his pitchers. Probably see a lot of relievers.
Bob Knepper, 222 with a homer. That was at Candlestick off Don Robinson. He's driven in 3, 2 sacrifice bunts this year. He pulls it down the line. Ramirez heads to third. Carry on deep in the corner. Stop sign at third. Knepper into second base. Knepper hits his 4th double of the year.
I'm going to tell you what, Bill, he has really become a hitter this year. Has a nice swing, too. See the way he kept his head in and pulled the ball? And Ramirez started to hold up because he wasn't quite sure Tuffle wasn't going to be able to reach up and snag it. So he wasn't able to score from first base. But here they are, the old ducks on the pond for Hatcher.
Billy singled and scored that run in the first inning after Darling threw away a pickoff attempt. Hatcher came home on Doran's base hit. Darling broke one off. The appeal at first base. No swing, says Brock Lander. Ball 1. Atlanta leads Montreal 4-0. Middle of the 4th inning. Derek Lilliquist against Dennis Martinez. Surprising that Martinez has given up 4 runs in 3 innings. One and one. San Diego's trailing the Cubs now 4-3 after 3. Mark Grace has hit his 3rd homer for Chicago, 2-run shot. Marvell Wynn, a 3-run homer in the 1st for the Padres. Dennis Rasmussen KO'd. Mark Grant came in the 3rd for the Padres. Scott Sanderson, the starter for the Cubs. Dodgers and Cardinals scoreless through 2. Hershiser and Terry. It will go foul, just barely. Tuffle kept waiting, and the ball had some funny spin on it. Could have posed an interesting situation had the ball stayed fair, Bill.
Well, I'm not sure Tuffle thought the ball was going to go foul. Then when he picked it up, he realized he was standing in foul territory. I never did see anything from Hallion. You know, that's got to be tough on a young guy like Tuffle, who's never played over there before. May have played it in Little League.
Well, just on that particular play, that's not a ball that a second baseman would get with that kind of spin on it over toward the line. 1-2 the count. And still 1-2 as Hatcher fights one off.
Darling got away with a mistake. If you noticed, Lombardi set up way on the inside. They wanted to try to jam Billy Hatcher, but Darling got the ball out over the plate. Perfect pitch for Hatcher to hit. He just couldn't quite get it. Now let's see what they're going to go. He's had that great changeup. And way ahead on the count. Let's see if he goes to it.
Well, fastball stays up. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And all of his fastballs have been up, haven't they?
Ojeda had a real problem with a fastball last night. Some nights a pitcher has it, some nights no, but you have to figure out how to work it around and throw the other pitches for strikes until that pitch comes back.
went back to his split finger because that's the only thing he can throw for a strike. And what the Astros are beginning to do now is wait on it. So Darling's going to have to get one of his fastballs in there. He throws pretty hard. He throws right up around 88 to 90 miles per hour. But he's got to get it in for strikes.
Art House Club had its biggest inning of the year last night. Yesterday afternoon, rather. An 8-run first. Davey Johnson's club has generally had good pitching.
He has a better infirmary team than he does out on the field.
2-2 the count. Hatcher hit the breaking ball. Ramirez scores. Knepper's being held. It's 2-0. That was a tough pitch. Hatcher just went down, put his bat on the ball, and got it into center field. He's 2 for 2.
Bill, all of the golf pros and watching us tonight have to be grinning from ear to ear because this is what they teach on the practice tee. Look at this. Darling makes a curveball that's almost impossible to hit, and look where Hatcher goes to hit it. My old pro Jack Selman would be all over you, though, because he didn't hook it.
He doesn't mind.
No, but he hit it straight away center, and Darling has made 2 great pitches now that have been hit for base hits.
He might be getting just a tad frustrated with Knepper having doubled at third, and Hatcher with his 34th RBI on at first. 1 out for Gerald Young. Darling makes a token toss to first. That's about his very worst pickoff move there. However, Hatcher with 14 steals went to third base as Darling threw the ball away in the first inning. Might be a little bit more deliberate with that throw. Ball 1.
Of course, Young awfully tough to double up. You'd have to hit it. He would have to hit it right at somebody.
That's only happened 3 times this year. Ground ball double play. It's 2-0 Astros, and they've already put together 5 hits. Again, the token toss goes to first. Yankees lead Detroit 5-0 through 4 for Andy Hawkins. Cleveland got 4 in the first. It's still 4-0 Indians through 6. Brad Commons hit a 3-run homer, his first of the year. Greg Swindell 10-2 on the mound for Cleveland. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, that's a smart pitch by Darling because he's figured out by now that Hallian is calling strikes on the outside corner. Maybe a little farther out than the outside corner. So if you're a pitcher and you know you're going to get it, you might as well throw it.
Knepper is hoping to score the 3rd Astro run. Billy Hatcher behind him with a 1-1 count and 1 out. There's the good move from Darling.
Yeah, that's because Hatcher took an extra step towards second. He was out on the AstroTurf that time, and so Darling really wanted to give him his better move. He's made some pretty good pitches. The Astros have hit some pretty good pitches for base hits.
Hatcher with a collision, and Tuppo goes rolling on the ground outside first.
See, now Darling's a little upset. He's not used to throwing to a second baseman trying to play first. And Tuffle, that was a bad throw by Darling, though. Good play by Tuffle to save it. But still, that's not your regular first baseman over there. And Darling, he's got him thinking about it a little bit now.
1 ball, 1 strike. Doran on deck. Seems to have changed his style just a little bit, with the hands maybe a little bit higher now to chop down on the ball more, Bill. But he's hitting line drive still.
He's too good to stay down long. Too much talent.
He hit a lot of balls sharply at fielders, first and third baseman earlier this year. Now he's hitting them up the middle.
See what Billy Doran said about him. Said he thinks that little spell will make him a tougher ball player in the long run because he came up so quickly and with so much success.
Sometimes it can come too easily. And every player, if he stays in the league for a while, will have some sort of a struggle here and there.
And he could have been a Met.
They had him.
Came over in the trade. We had the third baseman,
Ray Knight.
That's another good deal for Houston.
The Mets, of course, had all those center fielders, and they traded many away because they were well fixed. Hatcher goes. There's a shot into center. Knepper scores. Hatcher goes to third base, and Young picks up another RBI, number 22. Nothing Astros.
Well, it's just being patient and waiting for your pitch, and Darling got it right out over the plate. Wasn't much to that. Young was waiting on it. Gerald right now, don't touch him, folks. He's sizzling. Art Howe's been calling all the right calls too the last couple of games. That hit and run has worked 3 of the last 4 times he's called for it.
Things going well. 3-0 lead on 6 base hits. Billy Doran will try for more. He drove in the first run with a base hit to center. Jeffries took a look and then flipped on to Tuffle as Billy Hatcher easily came home. Doran gets his second RBI, his 49th of the year, to make it 4-0. Not pleased with the way he hit it, but he hit it just slowly enough to get the run home.
Hey, Young was really motoring. The ball was hit so slowly by Billy D that Jeffries was thinking second. Then he looked over. He said, good gracious, Young's already there.
But another good example of how things happen when the first 2 men, as speedy as they are, get on base. With that speed, Young is able to stay away from the force play at second. And the run scores, and now he could come in if Glenn Davis comes through. Strike 1. Davis walked first time up. Darling and Knepper have both been accused of similar problems in the past. Nibbling. Darling falling behind the count and throwing a lot of pitches in this inning. Baltimore leads Toronto 5-3 through 5 at the Sky Dome, where the Blue Jays are only 7-8 since they moved into their new ballpark. They need to get rolling. They're 9 games out. Fred McGriff is rolling. He hit his 19th homer. Phil Bradley, number 6 for the Orioles. Bob Malacky against Jim Key.
Boy, that McGriff hit some prodigious shots, doesn't he?
Yes, sir. 1 ball, 1 strike. The story about that ballpark is that the pitchers seem to love it because of the dimensions, and it's a tough field to play when the dome is open. A lot of swirling winds make it even harder to hit the ball out, and of course their old ballpark, Exhibition Stadium, was just the opposite. The wind would ride the ball out in a hurry. Time call. Darling slowing down his work pattern now. The Mets are trailing 4-0. It's never easy, of course. Not easy to beat even a last place team in Major League Baseball on a certain night, because with 162 games, even the worst teams are going to have their highs. But the Mets are banged up right now. That much is a fact well known to all. And the thought being is they're not scoring as many runs as they do with Strawberry and company in the lineup. Get them down early. It should be a lot easier than normal to beat them.
Should be.
Should be. Young is attracting Darling's eye as he lengthens his lead at second.
And I really don't know why. Darling has 2 outs in the inning. He ought to be concentrating on Davis. Down 4-0. Concentrate too much on Young, you're going to be down 6-0.
Darling 17-9 last year. Pitched 240 in 2/3 innings. Lombardi blocks it nicely with his chest. 2 balls and a strike. This game is going against a trend for Ron Darling. He's been at his best this year on the road in Western Division cities. 4-1 with a 1.64 ERA. He's won 2 games at Cincinnati, 1 here, 1 at San Diego. And his only loss was 3-2 at San Francisco against a Western Division club on the road. A lot of room on the right side of the infield now for Davis with a 2-1 count. 3 balls and a strike. Glenn's 7th in the league in extra base hits, 5th in total bases. The Astros have been able to surround him with a pretty consistent attack this year, taking some of the pressure off him. It gets away from Lombardi. Young as Davis races to first, and Glenn takes a look back. Young will hold at third as Lombardi runs the ball back toward the infield. Well, that was pretty smart on Glenn's part, because should he have been able to attract the throw halfway between first and second, Young might have been able to come home if he were to get in a rundown play. Now Mel Stottlemyre goes to the mound. The Mets with a big problem situation. Terry Poole at the plate. They trail 4-0. Tom Hallion goes out to break it up.
Well, he's certainly not stalling because there's no one warming up.
Mets went through their bullpen, of course, last night, Bill, in a big way, as Bobby Ojeda.
Howard Johnson's not even in on the meeting. He says, I don't want to be in the same group with these guys.
Ojeda lasted just 2/3 of an inning last night. The youngster Kevin Tapani made his big league debut with 4 1/3. Rick Ennis worked 2, and Don Ossie 1. Jeff Ennis, rather. They've gone through the pen, and they play tomorrow night against Cincinnati. Terry Poole struck out first time up. Davis faked a dash from first. There's a strike call. The Astros are putting Poole, the 8th man, to the plate here in the second inning. Of course, they batted around in the first last night. Art House said it's nice to get those early runs.
Scotty said that last night. He said, hey, somebody said, hey, you're on deck, and they were still in the first inning. He said he doesn't get that call very much.
No, not much. He appreciates all that run support. Said it's a big factor in what he's been able to do. Young and Davis are the base runners with 2 outs. And it's a 2-1 count. In fact, when the Astros scored their 10 runs last night, that was the 5th time been in double figures in runs scored this year. They haven't had too many breathers. A lot of close ones. McReynolds over toward the line to end the second inning for the Astros. A big inning for them with 3 more runs. On 4 base hits, they leave 2, and through 2, it's 4-0 Houston.
Five years ago, Jerry Mumphrey was named to play for the National League in the All-Star game in San Francisco this day in baseball history. And if you had to pick an Astro now, I'm sure Mike Scott will be selected tomorrow. There's an outside chance that Billy Doran will also be picked to the All-Star team. Let's say hey to all of our friends watching on the Sunshine Network in Florida tonight, along with everyone else along the line on HSE. And tonight, the Astros are America's team.
That's right. And And Ron Darling has been quite a hitter. He's hit home runs in each of his last 2 games. He's driven in 4.
How many pitches would you guess he threw last inning?
Maybe 25.
Try 61.
You're kidding. Darling hits this one hard. Hatcher backpedaling. Oh, how did he get it that way? 1 out.
Collectively, Bill, this may be the best defensive outfield in baseball. There would be some argument, I'm sure, from several other teams, but now Hatcher really misjudged this one, but his quick reactions enabled him to make the play. With the pitcher hitting, he just probably didn't figure Darling put that much of a charge into the ball. But we have seen Hatcher and Young and Poole make play after play. Hatcher, yeah, he checked it out on the screen. Attaboy, Billy. Billy has 1 error. Young has 1 error. Poole does not have an error this year.
Hatcher just made his first in the Montreal series. Ball 1 to Samuel. Knepper now with a 4-0 lead. Can work a little bit differently, perhaps. Not as much as Mike Scott with the 8-0 lead after 1 last night. 2 balls, no strikes. The Mets can still come back, of course. 2-1, but he doesn't have to be quite as careful. The main idea not to walk anybody, especially with a 4-0 lead in the 3rd inning. And maybe that'll put some good positive things to work for Bob Knepper. 2-2. That pitch did run inside a little bit. He walked Johnson in the 1st, so he now has 54 walks. And he's given up 107 base hits this year. It's 171 base runners in 98 innings. Caminetti makes the throw to get the fleet-footed Samuel out number 2. Bill, there aren't very many pitchers who would have a good ERA with 171 base runners in 98 innings.
No. In fact, there are very few times this year we have seen Knepper go 3 up and 3 down in an inning. He's close to it right now, but he either gives up a walk or a hit in an inning, and then it's tough to get the double play ball when you've got so many base runners.
That's why maybe the one he got on Elster in the last inning will help him. Ball 1 to Carrion, who bounced back to Knepper. Hatcher into left center. Young lets him take it with a smile. There's that 1-2-3 inning. And in the middle of the 3rd, the Astros have a 4-0 lead.
Santiago, Clark, Sandberg, Mike Schmidt. Can you believe it?
Nope.
Retired, and he was named the 3rd baseman. I bet Howard Johnson's not happy about that.
Oh, how could he be?
Well, Barry Larkin's having a good year, but Ozzie Smith is a fan favorite. Then you got Mitchell. Strawberry may not play, and if he doesn't, you might see Raines in there if he can play. The American League, Canseco says he wants to play, and he might play, even though he hasn't played all season long.
Ken Caminetti takes a strike. He grounded out 2-2 in the 1st inning. There was a cartoon in the paper, Bill, about the All-Star balloting. Maybe you saw it this morning. Caminetti to center. Samuel as far back, and he can't hold it. Caminetti turning to 3rd. And he is in safely. After a long run, Samuel gloved it but couldn't hold it. That's a huge part of this ballpark.
Well, remember, Bill, Samuel is a converted 2nd baseman. He's got a lot of speed, but I still think he has a lot to learn about playing the outfield. He was worried about the wall. He had his right hand out trying to feel for the wall instead of going back and making the play and then letting the cushion on the wall help him out. Gerald Young would have had this one in his back pocket, and Lenny Dykstra would have had that in his back pocket.
Now the infield comes in. Ramirez singled and scored. That's ruled a triple. hopeful. And he makes a good play.
I'll say he did.
1 out.
Here's another play that Tuffle is not accustomed to making. Being a second baseman, he doesn't ever have to go to the dugout steps or the fence in this case. But see how he feels for the fence? Much smarter play. He went to the fence first and then reacted to the ball.
That's Caminetti's 3rd triple of the year. Believe it or not, it ties him for the club lead with Hatcher and Poole and Bass. Biggio hit the fly ball to center in the 2nd. You talk about that All-Star team, just back to that cartoon. One guy was looking at another, looking at the All-Star voting and saying, gee, they elected 2 guys who are deceased. There's a strike. Well, with Canseco, he would like to play a few games with Oakland before the All-Star break, and apparently the Oakland top brass has decided if he does that, fine, go on and play in the All-Star game. But if not, they would prefer that he do not play in the All-Star game. Biggio drives in the run. It's 5-0. That's his 28th run batted in.
Boy, does he get around on this one. Fastball, and we talked about the fact that Darling hasn't been able to throw it for strikes. That time it was too good a strike. It was right over the heart of the plate. So Darling is really struggling tonight. And you know, Bill, a lot of times a pitcher, knowing that he's going out with not the best lineup that can be fielded by his team, sometimes will try a little too hard and overthrow. And this is not as good a stuff as I've seen Darling have this season. I think maybe he might have gone out there trying to pitch a shutout, and it's backfired on him.
He's in a big hole. 5-0 deficit, facing Knepper, who doubled and scored in the 2nd. Runner goes, and Knepper hits a towering fly ball. Biggio now locates it, and now he's coming back. That's out number 2. He lingered around the bag at 2nd. The thing that makes that an interesting play is that he had taken 1 step past second base, which means he has to retouch on the way back.
You know, I'd asked you earlier how many pitches Darling had thrown in that 2nd inning. 61 was the total he had thrown for the 2 innings, not in that inning. He threw 32 in the 2nd inning, so he has 29 pitches in the 1st, 32 in the 2nd, and I'd have to figure what, about 14 or 15 here.
Yes, sir. Biggio tracks a throw. Billy Hatcher at the plate, 2 for 2 with an RBI his 2nd time up, and 2 runs scored. Ball 1. Darling, of course, has been concerned about all the base runners the Astros have put on. And he's been looking over to the runners and making repeated throws. They've now collected 8 base hits. He's also walked a couple.
Hatcher has been up every inning.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, it's a 9-inning game.
Last night he walked 3 times in 3 innings. This time he's trying to get 3 hits in 3 innings. About all the base runners the Astros have been placing on and the way they've been going from 1st to 3rd in this ball game. The cover shot for the July program sold here at the ballpark is one of the Astros posed as a track team. Biggio's going. Lombardi's throw well offline, and Craig steals a base for the 7th time. He has not been caught. 7 for 7 this year.
Mr. Lombardi's going to have to get a little closer to second base. My goodness. I think Biggio is going to be a 20 steal man for the next 3 or 4 seasons until those legs start, the wear and tear of being a catcher starts to get to him. But he has that excellent speed. He's an easy 20 steal man every season.
7 already. The count 1-2 on Hatcher.
Tell you what, though, he's also one of the best best infielders on the Astros team. And there's even been some talk that on down the road, if they can sign a good young catcher, they might switch him to an infield position.
Just a good athlete. Lombardi comes up with a nice play. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Hatcher. Now back to that program cover, though. Hatcher and Gerald Young were down in their sprinter's stance in the blocks on a track, and Billy Doran with a starter's pistol. And that's what the Astros have been able to plant in the minds of some pitchers around the league, the threat of that speed.
Would Yelding run the final leg?
He probably would.
You know, that wouldn't be a bad 440 relay team because they wouldn't have to run that far. But if you think of Young and Yelding, Hatcher, who else did you have in there?
Well, Bass was in the picture.
Yeah.
And of course, Kevin has been sidelined. Three balls, 2 strikes. Just foul. Five to nothing Astros, last of the third. The other cute thing that Chuck Poole put together in the program too is the remembrances from the Astros players about their days in Little League. That's a real riot. Jim DeShays was relating the story about how he and his brother were on a team in Messina, New York, and the coach wanted his brother but didn't want him. And at the time, brothers had to play on the same team in that league. So they left both of them unprotected, and another team picked them up, and they both came back to beat their old team. Hatcher out of play. Still 3 balls, 2 strikes.
I hate to think about my Little League days. That was back in the dead ball era.
Isn't it funny, though, what players remember about Little League ball when they reached the majors? Almost all of them said they remembered going out for food after the games. Well, whether it was pizza or ice cream or what. Check swing foul from Hatcher. Still 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, well, Mom was buying then, too.
All right. Larry Anderson even had a line in there. Well, it was better to be with a coach who was a little rotund and pretty generous than one who was skinny and a tightwad.
That's applicable now.
Hatcher takes. Darling wanted that strike call, but he walks Billy, who's on for the 3rd straight time.
You know, a lot of people could say, well, Hatcher is hitting the ball again. But you know what? The patience he has shown at the plate in the last 4 games has enabled him to get better balls to hit. I think he's learning a valuable lesson. Since he has become a leadoff hitter, he is getting better pitches to hit because of being so selective.
Looks like Jeff Ennis heading for the Mets bullpen again. He pitched last night. Young is 1 for 2, drove in a run with his base hit in the 2nd. McReynolds in left with the catch. Milo Hamilton will be heading Bill's way to join him alongside in the HSE booth in just a moment. In the 3rd for the Astros, it's a run on 2 hits with no errors and 2 left. And through 3, 5-0 Houston.
And Milo Hamilton along to begin it here in the top of the 4th.
And as we do, Bill Worrell, Howard Jansen walked in the 1st, stole a base. He's 0 for 6 in the series. Astros have put something on the board in each of the first 3 innings, a 1, a 3, and a 1. Out hitting New York 8-1. Trying to take the rubber game and keep climbing, and Montreal will be here for the weekend. And here's where Jansen figures in.
And he also figures in as your starting 3rd baseman Tuesday night in the All-Star game. No way Mike Schmidt should be there, although he deserved it the many years he was the starting 3rd baseman. But this year 3rd base belongs to this gentleman.
Bob Knepper with an 0-1. And here it is to Hojo. A ball makes it 1-1. McReynolds on deck, then it'll be Tuffle. The only hit was an infield hit, and that was by Tuffle in the 2nd inning. about what Knepper would do, the way he throws a lot of breaking stuff with backdoor stuff. He's not going to have an overly large number of strikes compared to bases on balls and so on and so forth. And he does a lot of nibbling, finesse. 2-1. Fouled outside third. 2 balls and 2 strikes. No game tomorrow night. In fact, I don't see you again till Sunday, do I?
That's right. You got the Astros and the Expos on national television Friday night and Saturday afternoon. We'll be back Sunday afternoon to finish up the series.
And of course, the place to get your baseball on Friday and Saturday is Astros Radio. There are dials that you can turn. One up and one down.
Unless you have one of those space age jobs.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Fouled it again.
Really got to be tough for Howard Johnson, don't you figure? Right now he's not surrounded in the lineup. At least he had Magadan behind McReynolds and then Magadan. Now with Magadan going down tonight, you almost have to pitch around this guy.
It's also a game you really don't want to let slip away with those guys out of here. Whoa! Took something off.
And took it off high in the strike zone, but had him looking for something else to hit. Second strikeout for Knepper.
Started the game with 1 on Samuel. Take a look at where this is, Bill.
This is up high. I wouldn't advise this normally.
No.
Unless you've got a hitter who is pressing. He knows you're not going to probably throw him anything good.
And a 5-0 lead. Strike to McReynolds. He popped to the shortstop in shallow left center. Ramirez went out and got it. McReynolds 2 for 7 in this series. And you know, when we get to New York, the second series after the All-Star break, Bill, Hernandez won't be back yet. Sounds like Gooden won't be either.
He said tonight he would be back.
Gooden did?
No, Hernandez. No, Gooden is out. He's out for 4 weeks with the pulled muscle.
They found a little tear, didn't they?
Yeah, a little tear in his underneath his right arm, right around the armpit area. But Hernandez.
But does the ball club think that Hernandez is going to be back for fear of tearing that hamstring? There's a line drive hit into left center.
He's been taking batting practice, of course. You watch him down there, but he claims he's going to talk him into it.
But their worry is that having immobilized that thing, that there may not be enough strength and he just might be inviting another hamstring pull. Remember, that kept him out a lot last year. Strawberry told us tonight that he will play tomorrow night on grass, or Friday night. No, tomorrow. They got a 4-game series, don't they? Do they? Well, anyway, he's going to be on the grass surface, and he said his toe is hurting him on the AstroTurf. He said there's just no way he could play here, but he thought he could play on the grass surface. So he'll be ready to play. He doesn't know about the All-Star game, however. He's leaving his options open there. I don't know how bad his toe is, but it couldn't hurt any more than Billy Doran's. And he's playing about his 5th straight game on turf with a toe that looks like he caught it in a snowblower. Well, they're different pain thresholds. Tuffle, who had a base hit in the second inning, one of the 2 hits. Knepper checks. Got some corner, and it's 1-1. Tuffle, who provided the margin when he hit the home run the other night off the Shays to break the 1-1 tie. They went on to win 3-1. Then last night it was bombs away with an 8-run first. Scotty ran away and hid. Now tonight, 5-0. Not close on McReynolds, and you can't nonchalant him either. Ever think Tuffle's played first base before? Yeah, he played against us earlier this year. Did he? At first? Base hit into right field. McReynolds will check behind him and then look at his coach. He'll stop at second. 2 straight hits after 1 out. Good job of hitting by Tuffle.
decided the way that Knepper was chipping at the corners that he just tried to go the opposite way. So he did a good job of staying patient. See, that ball was right over the outside part. Knepper tried to turn it over a little bit, get a sinking action on it, and Tuffle just went with him.
This will be Jeffries. When Deshay is shut out, here's the pitch. And there's a base hit into center. Young charging. They're going to wave the runner. The throw will be cut off by Davis. Bowling into Biggio is McReynolds, and there was no play there. So they're on the board. It's 5-1. But to finish the thought on Tuffle, when Deshay shut them out in a 5-hitter, Tuffle played first base that whole game.
Okay. Well, this pitch had nothing on it. And Jeffries lined it right into second, and see him stop. He slipped, and maybe he shouldn't have cut that ball off. But of course, there was no way for Davis to know that McReynolds had fallen down. McReynolds almost falls down right here on the turn. The ball would have tailed off, but it would have been a close play.
So it's a 4-run lead now. 3 straight hits off Knepper. The hitter is Lombardi. There's a bouncer towards second. Dorn will flip one, fire, and yes, another double play. The second one tonight. Got the luxury of Lombardi running, a catcher number 1, and he's got a bad knee number 2. And Doran handled it perfectly.
There you see again with a shovel. Ramirez hangs in there tight. And we go to the bottom of the frame, and the Astros holding to a 4-run lead on HSE. Beach ball day at the Dome.
That may be a new record. 4 1/2 inning.
Well, the fans, it's fun winning, isn't it?
Well, they're back from the beach. Figured won't need them again till Labor Day. And the poor ball boy down the left field line's getting a workout. Here's Billy Doran, single and an RBI in the first, a slow roller and an RBI in the second. He's 1 for 2. He's gone ahead of Davis again in the RBI column. And that's a strike. Houston 5-8-1 with Knepper. New York 1-4-2 with Darling. Doran got his average at 271. Bouncer right side. Tuffle with it. Going to flip it to Darling. And it's 1 away here in the bottom of the 4th inning.
He's earning his money tonight.
A lot of things to do at the ballpark when you're a ball boy, I guess.
That BB stands for beach ball tonight.
Oh. Pitch to Davis, who's walked twice. Ball 1. Dropped off the last month. He was up in the top 2 there in RBIs for a while, but he's dropped back, and the home run production's also dropped off. Maybe if you show a little patience like he has tonight, walking twice, they'll figure, hey, he's not chasing all those bad pitches.
Sure has helped for Hatcher, hasn't it?
Has it ever? Hatcher's walked 6 times in this series. There's a high foul up to the right side.
You really have to change your strategy. You know, everybody comes in saying, well, don't throw Hatcher anything good for a leadoff hitter. He'll swing at bad pitches. Now the advanced scouts see that he's walked 6 times in the series. Their notes have to say, hey, we're going to have to pitch Hatcher a little better.
Keep putting him on. He set the table for Young, Doran, Davis, and Poole.
And so he is going to see better pitches.
2 balls and a strike. Glenn Davis waiting. Poole on deck. Now Davis going to make Darling wait. Speaking of setting the table, it's all ready for you tomorrow night. We had our pre-banquet luncheon today for the dinner tomorrow night. That's a ball, and it moves to 3-1. Sally Hemus is already memorizing his lines.
You're not going to give us a preview of your introduction, are you?
No, because my big treat will be the two-man show with Yogi. High fly ball, center. Samwell went way back, now going to have to come way in. He had to move back on the sound.
He looked like he lost it. He looked up, he looked twice, and he looked again. Looked like he had lost the baseball for a moment. He doesn't get a good jump on the ball in this building. I don't get to see him play when he leaves the dome very often, but he does not get a good jump in center field in this building.
Here's Poole 0 for 2. Line down the right side, base hit. Carry on has it, crashes into the wall. Poole is going to be in at second, standing with a double. He leads the club these days in doubles.
Yes, he does. That's number 18.
Two-out double by Poole.
This guy is a tough out. Get that ball anywhere around the strike zone. He has zeroed in on it. It's really enabled Art Howe, too, to have a luxury in the outfield, because once Bass is back, you don't have to rush Kevin back into the lineup, and you've got 4 regulars now you can go to down the stretch.
High bouncer up the first base side. Tupple with it. Caminetti tries to slip on by with a little elbow, but he got tagged and the side's retired. 3 unassisted. Poole's double leaves him, and we will go to the 5th inning. Home sports entertainment from the Dome on HSE. It's 5-1 Astros. Bottom of the order here, it'll be Elster, then Darling, then up to the top with Samwell. Knepper having to wait for the ball boy to retrieve yet another beach ball. Knepper delivers to Elster. Strike in there. Elster grounded into an around-the-horn double play in the second. The Astros went through the first 2 games without a DP. They picked up a couple of big ones here tonight. Line to left, and it will drop, and Hatcher will see it jump over him, go to the 380 sign, and Elster leads off the inning with a double. That's hit number 5, and 4 of the last 5 hitters have had hits.
I think if you're Art Howe, you got to start worrying a little bit and maybe get some activity going in your bullpen. This ball took an AstroTurf bounce right over the head of Hatcher. It was hit so hard it had so much overspin on it.
Here is Darling. He lined hard to left and sent Hatcher backpedaling into the left field wall to grab it. He was bidding to make it 3 games in a row with long ball, wasn't he?
He got a little power.
1 ball, no strikes. Leadoff double by Elster, his first hit of the series. And there is a hit up the middle. It won't score a run because with the ball hit right by him, Elster was not able to move. Runners on the corners, and you got to get somebody warming up. Knepper has not qualified to win this game yet either.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't gone the 5 innings. And I'm sure that the Astros would like him to go 5, but also they need to win a lot more. And there go your 2 aces. Anderson and Darwin. You won't find better middle relievers anywhere in baseball.
Andy and the Bonham Bullet as the duo. Well, I think only
Darwin's going to throw.
Andy's down there to protect him, and Ed Ott goes down to watch him.
I don't know if I'd want Andy protecting me with that glove. Get behind Ed Ott.
Oh, by the time it gets down there, Andy can handle it.
Oh, sure.
So 2 straight hits. Knepper wants a different baseball.
5-0 lead. They've cut it to 5-1 and threatening to put another dent in it. Samuel, the batter, he's 0 for 2 tonight, 0 for 8 in the series. And there's a liner foul down the right side. Nothing Andy could do with that.
It almost got Darwin. They are hitting shots off Knepper. He hasn't fooled anybody in this inning.
And the last inning either. If Doran doesn't make a good double play.
What you have to be careful with, even though this is your leadoff hitter, as you well know, he packs a pretty good punch at the plate, Samuel. You don't want to go for one in there in the middle, and all of a sudden you're looking at a 5-4 game. Got to be careful with this guy.
Elster third, Darling first, nobody out. Outside. Two balls and one strike. Runners on the corners as Knepper settles in. Here's the pitch. And there's another base hit. And it's 5-2. 3 straight hits for the second inning in a row, and the natives are getting restless. And well, they should be. And Les Moss is on his way.
Well, you put the game right back in reach for the Mets because there's still not anybody out in this inning. Carrion has a home run and a long double off the wall in this series. Howard Johnson, you know what he can do with 22 homers, and Kevin McReynolds with good power. So now Knepper's running into the heart and soul of what little lineup the Mets have on the field.
Against this lineup, you let them get back in with this lineup, you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
And Mark Carrion, who has bounced to the mound and flied to left, will step in with 2 on and nobody out. And the 5-run lead has dwindled to 3. And Darwin is not fooling around in that bullpen. Knepper's in a full-blown jam. Mark Carrion. And here's the pitch, runners going, swinging a foul back. We're on the sunshine tonight down in Florida. And I'm hoping that we're on over in the Tampa St. Pete area, and that Al Lopez, the 7th son of a 7th son, who managed Mark Carrion's daddy, Camilo Carrion, back in the 60s. Give him another idea where a few years went. Runner's not going this time. He was squared away to bunt. The ball was way low inside. Carrion, as Bill said, hit a home run here the other night for an insurance run and didn't miss much of hitting one out of here yesterday.
You know what I like about his swing? He waits well on the ball, too. He hit a changeup from Deshays for the home run. He hit another change of pace ball for his double. So he waits on it well. And if Knepper gives him any slow stuff, this guy can put it out of sight.
Well, a mix-up by Knepper because Davis was nowhere near the bag, and an acrobatic move by Davis, or you'd have had runners at second and third, and if it goes down by the bullpen, Darling might have even scored.
Sam Perlazzi came in then to have a few words with Carrion. So Davy Johnson had the hit and run on one pitch, then had the possible sacrifice on the last pitch. So let's see what he does now on the 1-1 count.
Darling second, Samuel first. 5-2 ball game, Houston. Showing bunt, takes a strike, and it's 1-2. Well, that looked like a good pitch to bunt, too.
Right down there low.
It just might be that where this fellow has played in the lineup up through their system hasn't been asked to bunt that much.
But the way he hits off speed stuff, I'd have him swinging away because Knepper hasn't come with very much heat in this game. This guy is a good off-speed hitter.
3 more hits in the inning. They had 3 hits in the last inning. They put a deuce up there. It's 5-2 Astros. 4th inning. Smash foul down the left side. Boy, that slow curve. Man. Astros got Knepper an early 5-0 lead. They're threatening to get right back in it here. A little jug handle liner gonna drop. It'll get Darling home. It's a 2-run game. Samwell goes to third. Throw comes to second. 4 straight hits. That might have been a little nubber, but it's still an RBI single.
I'll tell you. Go ahead, Milo.
Samwell to third, Carry on to first. His third RBI in the series.
He really impressed me. Look what Knepper does. He jams him. And Carry On is strong enough to get around on it. And now Art Howe is going to take the hike, and that's going to be it. But watch the way he gets the bat around. Wow, I didn't think that was possible. It's going to be a nice little hit. I like this ball player, Carry On. He's a nice ball player.
So Knepper is not going to get a chance to win this game. He has not qualified for a win, and he's going to be gone. That's Gone.
Because the ball wasn't hit that well either, Samwell was able to go all the way from first to third. So now Darwin inherits a real jam. There is still not an out in this inning, so Danny Darwin's got a lot of work to do. The score right now, the Astros 5 and the Mets 3, and with a break in the action, here's a word from Hilton Hotels.
Can't qualify for a win, so it's up to Darwin.
Well, Darwin and Anderson, as we pointed out, having banner seasons. There you see the record for Danny, 7-2, and if he could come in and close the door and make that 8-2, that would be lovely for Art Howe. 2.32 ERA for Darwin. He has had several consecutive scoreless inning streaks this season, and for the most part has just done a superb job all year long.
And he'll be called upon to do a job here, and that is for sure.
Art Howe checking the lineup card. He's looking at his possible options he'll have on down the line. These guys try to stay an inning or two ahead, and Davy Johnson says, hey man, we're back in the game. And he doesn't have a lot of bench to work with.
7 of the last 8 Mets have had base hits. They're only 3 back, and all of a sudden, as Howard Johnson bats, he is the tying run.
And he switches around to hit from his power side. I mean, boy, he'll give the ball a jolt. One swing of the bat here, believe it or not, and the Mets could take the lead. So that's how quickly things can change for you in this old game of baseball. Darwin, if he has had one weakness this season, it would be the long ball. So he has to be careful with Johnson.
Runners on the corners with nobody out. Darwin will check third, then first. High heat.
That's reminiscent of the job he did on the Giants last time in the final inning to shut them down. He just came with hard stuff. Danny can throw it about 88 miles per hour. And this is an excellent fastball hitter, although from that left side he likes it down a little lower.
Howard Johnson has walked tonight, stolen a base, struck out swinging. He is 0 for 7 in the series. Came in here having just been named the June National League Player of the Month. No balls, 1 strike. Jammed him, fouled him off to the left side, puts him down in the count, 0-2.
A couple of excellent pitches by Darwin. The first one starting it off up at the shoulders with a fastball. That fastball was down on the inside part of the plate. Good location. So now he's way ahead.
Samwell at third. Carry on at first. There's still nobody out. Now Howard Johnson back in there. No ball, 2-strike count. Darwin really comes out of that bullpen looking into the teeth of this Met lineup. Crowds him, 1-2.
Good pitch on 0-2. Getting him something inside. Get him jammed.
And McReynolds is next. Darwin taking a little time, and you can't blame him. He's inherited runners at first and third. Nobody out. They picked up 2 more runs in the inning off Knepper and sent it into a 5-3 game. Houston. Foul back. Still 1-2 to Howard Johnson, playing third base tonight. Hernandez and Carter and Strawberry and Magadan out of their lineup, and here they are putting the pressure on.
4 straight pitches, all good hard stuff. Fastballs. I wonder if he may try to pull the string a little bit on a breaking ball. Let's see. Oh, he came again with that high hard stuff.
1-2.
Boy, this is mano a mano, huh? Coming right at you with fastballs. See if you can hit him.
Well, you get a 5-0 lead for a pitcher. The most guys would stand up there and fight you, dare you to take him out of a game. But Knepper, after the first 3 innings, bang, in the 4th inning, 3 hits. 5th inning, 4 more hits. One and 2. Darwin facing Howard Johnson, and the 1-2 runner at first going. Swing and a miss, strike him out. Runner will go to second base. 2 runners scoring position. Howard Johnson striking out on a twister down, and then it's a stolen base for Carry On.
I was 1 pitch too late. He did pull the trigger on that slider that time. After 5 straight fastballs, turned it over on him, and he was way ahead of him. Good pitching by Darwin.
Now he's got to look at McReynolds, and here, this might be the toughest guy in a game situation in their lineup right here.
Yeah, because he can hit any pitch.
The other night he fought off a pitch up and in that Deshays had been striking out everybody with, and he busted his bat and still muscled it to left for an RBI single. Runners second and third, 1 out, tying runs in scoring position. There's a high fly ball center. It'll be playable by Young. Now he's got to come back in. The runner at third will score. The throw will come by Ramirez over to Caminetti. Sacrifice fly. It's a 1-run game. Tying run is at second in the person of Carry On. So McReynolds gets his second RBI of the series. 3 runs in the inning, and it's 5-4 Houston.
And that was a big at bat for McReynolds. All they're trying to do now, just about 30 minutes ago, they were behind 5-0. If he gets 1 more run across, now it's 5-4. It's a 1-run game, and anything can happen. So the Mets, with a big 5th inning, are right back in it.
And the other thing about it is you've given new breath of life to Darling. It looked like he was going to be had. Now all of a sudden he says, hey, I'm back in this thing. Here's Tuffle, 2 for 2. Ball 1, no strikes, and now I think maybe that crossed Biggio up, maybe with the runner at second. Might have crossed him up because Biggio didn't even wait a second, did he? He went right out there. Tuffle singled in the second, singled again in the 4th. He's had 4 hits in this series, including a game winner Monday night when he homered to break a 1-1 tie. Houston 5-9-1, New York 4-8-2. Another thing that they've done, they've taken the crowd out of it here. There's a high pop over to the right side. Davis over, looking to see if he has room. He does. Side retired. Good job by Darwin. They get 3 runs on 4 hits. No errors. They leave a man. Astro bats have to go to work. The Bonham Bullet did his thing. Now the bats have to go to work again. On HSE, it's a different looking game. 5-4 Astros.
With 2 outs in the 10th inning of Game 6 of the '86 World Series, when the game-tying run was wild pitched home, the Mets went on to beat the Red Sox 6-5. Mookie Wilson.
Why the Mook?
Mookie's ready to get in there right now. He says, put me in, coach. Boy, yeah, he got the old golden sombrero last night. There were a lot of K's next to Mookie's name. And he's one of the few players Davey's got available down there. He's got Mookie, Mackey Sasser, Mazzilli, Keith Miller. I don't think Strawberry. It'd have to be an extreme emergency for him to hit.
Here is Rafael Ramirez to lead it off in the 5th inning. He's 1 for 2. Ron Darling back in it when it looked like he was out of it. 2 innings ago, he was trailing 5-0. He looks up now and only 1 run back. So the thing for the Astros to do is spread the gap again. You know, when a club comes back, if you go right back out and get them back, then they say, now we got to come back all over again. So it behooves the Astro hitters to go right back and get on the board here. 0-2. Biggio on deck. A ball and 2 strikes to Rafi. He's had 2 for 9 in the series. A couple of runs batted in. He was a 2 RBI man in that big 1st inning yesterday. And there's another beach ball in left center.
It's getting a little old now.
Yeah. Once or twice it was cute. Now it's a bore.
Check up there, see if there are any bikinis.
That's your department.
Oh, I don't have a camera.
Well, if you insist. Somebody's got to do it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ramirez tired of waiting on Darling. Steps out on it.
Taking a lot of time between pitches tonight.
Well, it was understandable early because he was always pitching from the stretch and a lot of people on. Base hit left field for Rafi. 2nd hit tonight. Hit number 10 off Darling.
Darling just hasn't been able to get the fastball in for strikes, and when he does, they're teeing off on it. Earlier in the game, he couldn't get it in for strikes. Now when he does, well, they're getting around on it.
Hojo tried to leap, but not that time. And here is Biggio. 1 for 2 tonight. Got his 1st hit of the series in the 3rd inning. Drove in the 5th run. Ramirez, first base. Danny Darwin's on deck. There is a shot into right field, a base hit. Ramirez will streak for 3rd. He'll make it. It went off the edge of the fingertips of Jeffries. That slowed it down on the turf and allowed Rafi to scoot on over. Runners on the corners. Nobody out.
Boy, Milo, we're just in the bottom of the 5th inning, and Darling's given up his 11th hit of the game. He has thrown a ton of pitches. That ball really didn't look that difficult. Doran would have eaten that one up.
So powwow going on here with runners on the corners. Danny Darwin the batter, and they're going to put their bullpen to work again. Mel Stottlemyre.
Well, they've got to. They're right back in the game. They can't afford to stay with Darling much longer.
Yeah, they'll also change their philosophy. They had Innes up earlier, and I bet you they go the other direction this time.
Don Ossie.
So here's Danny Darwin, a chance to help himself. Runners 1st and 3rd, nobody out. Throw to 1st, not close. Darwin batting for the 1st time in this game. All right, Double D, let's see where all that work between 4:30 and 5 that takes place here every day can help you here. Biggio running, pitch out. The throw down will be safe. Another stolen base for Biggio. His second tonight. He has yet to be caught this year.
Well, Lombardi looked at third base. He wasn't sure the Astros didn't have a double steal on, and when he looked to third, it negated the pitch out. I mean, why do you call a pitch out if you're going to look at... Now, see, he's called a pitch out thinking there's a play on. See, he looks at Ramirez. By the time he throws to second, no way to get Biggio. He almost did, but that almost is a big word. See, he looks to third, then he throws to second. It's too late.
Astros have taken over the league lead in stolen bases with 93. There's a fly ball into right center. It'll be deep enough to get Rafi home. Carry on with the catch. Run will score. Biggio will tag, go to third. And there's one of those runs back we talked about, Bill Worrell.
Yes, indeed, and what a fine job by Danny Darwin. Give the big right-hander a round of applause and a few high fives. What a great job. Hey, I wish some position players would take a look at that. He hit that pretty deep, too, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Not only did he get the run home, but he got Biggio over an extra 90 feet.
And he got him an old RBI.
Here's Hatcher with a drawn-in infield way up tight. Biggio, third base, one out. Hatcher wants to put this ball in play. Breaking ball down and away, and it's 1-0.
That's a pitch he'd have swung at last week. That's
no doubt about it.
That's what we were talking about a moment ago. The fact that he has improved his patience at the plate. He's going to get a good pitch to hit here in a minute.
He's been on base 8 times in this series in 2.5 games. That's 6. Well, let's see. No, that's more than that. That's right. 6 walks and 2 hits. A ball and a strike to the Hatch. He scored a couple of runs tonight. He's driven in a run. He can get back in that RBI column right here. Astros 6-11-1. New York 4-8-2. Glance to third. Checking Biggio. Laid off of another pitch.
Good job. All he would have done had he swung at it, if he doesn't miss it, he'd have just hit it into the ground.
2 balls and a strike. Davey Johnson got him up tight on that inner defense. Biggio, good speed at third. Hatcher, good speed at the plate. High pop foul out of play down the right side. Back over here to the right of the screen, and it's 2-2.
Well, Darling's in a dilemma. He hasn't had a good fastball tonight. His best pitch has been that split finger changeup that's dipped away and down. But the hitters have been looking for it because that's the only pitch he's been able to throw for strikes. Let's see what he comes with here.
Takes that long look down into Lombardi. Astros have stolen 4 bases here tonight. Help putting the pressure on. Whoa, man. Right in tight. And that will make it 2 away in the inning. And put it up to Young to get Biggio home.
That was a tough pitch. Look at the bottom fall out of this one. There's that split finger I just talked about. That's been his best pitch tonight. See how it goes down right there, and Hatcher swung right over the top of it.
That looked good enough to be a Mike Scott split finger.
Yeah, exactly. Darling has good stuff. He just hasn't been able to use his fastball effectively enough tonight to keep the Astros off balance.
Picking up his second strikeout to go with 3 walks. He's surrendered 11 hits. Young is 1 for 3, had a single in the second inning, drove in run number 3. Biggio, good speed at third. Ball 1. Young has had 4 hits in this series. In his last 14 at bats, he's had 6 hits, and he's got that batting average at .235. Since we went on that long trip to California, he has put 50 points on his batting average. The 1-0. Ball 2. Billy Doran would be next.
Now, if I'm Darling, I want to pitch to Young instead of Doran. So if Young's ready, this could be a pretty good 2-0 pitch.
Biggio singled, stole second, went to third, and a long fly ball that Darwin put to right center to get Ramirez home. That is a ball, and it is 3-0. Well, you make him thread the needle now.
You know, Art Howe's done some pretty wild things this season. He might have him swinging on the 3-0 since he's swinging a hot bat. Nope.
Walked him.
He wasn't close, was he?
Now Billy Doran. 4 walks by Darling. And Davy Johnson's on his way. And he's going to go to his pen. It'll still be a right-hander, so Doran will still be able to bat left-handed. And Darling is gone. He got himself in a hole 5-0. Then his teammates got him back in it. But he went right back to this inning and gave up another run. Don Ossie has come on. Hey, the young man from Waco won again tonight. Andy Hawkins, he's 10-8. He threw a 5-hitter at Detroit. 9-0. What do you got on the big right-hander coming in now, Bill?
Well, we'll take a look at Ossie, and they're going to talk it over first. So far this season, Ossie now appearing in his 29th game. 2.57 ERA, 35 innings pitched, 32 hits, 21 strikeouts, and he's walked 13, giving up a couple of home runs. This big guy's been around a while.
That Milwaukee-Boston game postponed because of rain. Cleveland beat the White Sox. Swindell won his 11th. Baltimore hangs on to beat Toronto 5-4. Seattle leads Minnesota 2-0 in the third. Young Griffey hit his 12th home run. Oh, I haven't seen him, but I don't hear anything about him I don't like. He reminds you of a young Enos Cabell, except he can run a lot faster and he's got more power. Well, that's not a knock on Enos.
Ossie been around pitching since 1972. Last year was at Rochester and Baltimore. Pitched for Baltimore from 85 through last year, and had pitched before that with California.
Runners first and third, 2 down. Doran comes up empty. He has driven in a couple of runs with a single and a bounce out, and then bounced out again. Boy, you could use a pick-me-up right here. Get Biggio home and get it back to a 3-run lead.
Ossie, another one of those medical wonders, coming back from shoulder surgery, and successfully.
1 ball, 1 strike. Runners on the corners. Biggio third. Young first. 2 hits, sacrifice fly, stolen base, and a walk in the inning. You'd like to get more than 1 run out of all that. Runner at first going, and it'd be another stolen base. That's 5 of them. For the G-man. Astros have now stolen 7 bases in this series.
They've stolen everything but Lombardi's glove.
He may have to check that. 2 runners in scoring position now for Billy D. High foul out of play over to the left side. Hojo will take a look, but it's up about 6 rows. The Astros, who started the night 2 stolen bases behind Montreal, have put up 5 to go to 94 on the year. They might have 100 by the break. This is the 22nd time this year that the Astros have stolen more than 1 base in a game. And he struck him out. What a job by Ossie against a tough hitter. Doran strikes out. First strikeout for him, third in the game against the Astros. Leave a couple. 1 run on the 2 hits. And on HSE, as we prepare to go to the 6th inning in the rubber game, Astros lead New York 6-4. Brought to you by Wheaties.
Oh.
Darwin working to Jeffries. Ball 1.
You can bet that's not the same Jack Armstrong that pitches for Cincinnati.
That is correct.
He's too young to remember Hudson.
Gonna bloop one, a flare, and Rafi did all he could to try to get to it. Jeffries just outside of that one and got it out into shallow left center. It's a base hit to start the 6th inning for New York. Darwin would tell you made a pretty good pitch.
Yeah, not much you can do about that.
9th hit for New York. Houston 6-11-1, New York 4-9-2. Both starting pitchers are gone. Lombardi is the batter. He's 0 for 2, reached on an E3 in the 2nd. 4th inning, bounced into a double play. He's a double play candidate. Throw to first, not close on Jeffries. Jeffries has 2 hits tonight. And he wasn't in the starting lineup till Magadan came up with a bad back. So then they pushed Tupple from 2nd to 1st, but Jeffries in at 2nd. Long look by Danny and then steps away. Getting down to the bottom of their order, and the New York bullpen is busy again. Lombardi the batter, Elster on deck. And that's a good pitch, and it's 0-1. Lombardi 0 for 2 tonight, 0 for 5 in the 2 games that he's caught in this series. No balls, 1 strike. Carter and Lyons are hurt. They're down to their 3rd and 4th catchers. Foul back, had a pretty good cut. And still they start the night only 2 games back. Their first 2 catchers are hurt. Strawberry, Hernandez, Magadan.
Gooden out for a month.
But here they are, getting up off the deck. You had them down 5-0. Now it's 6-4 Astros. Throw to first, not close. Darwin came in and did the jab in the 5th inning, inherited a mess from Knepper, and starts off giving up a single to Jeffries here in the 6th. Working on him, but not getting him. Jeffries, a kind of a guy who will get your attention. Now Darwin steps away.
9 stolen bases. It's only been caught 4 times.
But here's a case, and I know what he's doing. He's trying to keep him close enough with a double play candidate in the batter's box. Sometimes you can put too much thought on that. There's a little tapper foul right side. Check the swing, and it's 0-2. You still got to go after that guy with the bat. The guy at first already had his hack at you, and he reached. Final from Chicago. San Diego tumbled. Cubs beat them 5-3. No balls and 2 strikes. Jeffries first, nobody out. Darwin working on Lombardi. Runner going. Swing and a miss. Throw down will be late. Stolen base. Jeffries. Strikeout on Lombardi. Jeffries gets his 10th stolen base of the year. It's their 3rd of the night. Second strikeout for Darwin. Here it is again.
Lombardi had that big swing at it, and he almost stepped right in front of Biggio, and it was a pretty tough chance for Biggio to make. Jeffries had a good jump. There he goes. See, he's got 2 or 3 steps on the AstroTurf by the time he released it. And the swing of the bat by Lombardi forced Biggio to wait just a fraction of a second.
Here's Elster, started the 5th inning with a double and scored their 2nd run. He's 1 for 2 tonight, and he's 1 for 5 in this series. Foul back. Danny Darwin working in his 2nd inning. Jeffries at second base with 1 away. Elster the batter, and Lee Mazzilli is going to bat. He is already on deck. So Ossie did the job they brought him in for. And it's 1-1. Astros got 5 in a hurry. But lately it's been the Mets, and Houston's lead of 5-0 has been cut to 2 in a 6-4 game. Jeffries taking his lead and looking around to see where Doran and Ramirez are. Oh man. Darwin is not bashful.
No, he isn't.
He is not faint of heart.
He will challenge you, and he has some good stuff to challenge you with. Good fastball, upper 80s, good slider.
He got him. 3rd strikeout for the Bonham Bulletsons coming on. Now Lee Mazzilli will be announced.
Well, so much for the nibble, right? He says, boy, he hit the corner with that slider. That would have been a called 3rd strike. That's an impossible ball for Elster to hit.
Lee Mazzilli, the switch-hitting veteran first baseman outfielder. Met, Ranger, Yankee, Met again. 0 for 1 in this series, 0 for 2 against Houston pitching for 89. He's a 176 hitter against the league. An ideal guy to have on a pennant contender, though, because he can do some things for you. Knows his job. He's not going to be in that clubhouse or on that bench agitating. Check swing foul, strike 1 as Darwin gets out in front of him.
That original trade to Texas was for Darling, wasn't it?
Yes, Darling and Terrell.
That's right. Darling and Terrell from Texas to New York. Nice little trade there. As it turned out.
And Mazzilli never played as well again after he was traded a couple times. He was almost like his mentor, and that was Joe Torre. There's a ball inside. Torre took a liking to him and had a lot of patience with him. And then he had some good years with the Mets. But when they traded him, he was almost like away from home. A ball and a strike. Broken bat pop. Look at Darwin. Oh, he made a heck of a try. He had everything going he could. And he's going to get a hand because that is a big effort.
You got to realize on a dead run, and you're not used to this, you're bouncing up and down. Your head is. And I think what happens is a pitcher who's not used to it, an outfielder is a little more accustomed to it, but he just couldn't get the glove in a steady position. Boy, that's super hustle. He knew what a big out that would be for him.
Says that's the way I used to do it when we changed the baton at Bonham.
He really closed on that ball in a hurry. I didn't think he had any chance at all when he first started.
He's got a 1-2 count on Lee Mazzilli, the pinch hitter. Jeffries at second base with 2 down. Jeffries opened the inning with a little flare behind short for a hit. Stole second. Lombardi struck out. Elster struck out. And Darwin's in front of Mazzilli, 1 and 2. And he wants to get together with Biggio here.
I think he wants to get his breath.
Not a bad idea.
Actually, that's, you know, he says, come on out and talk to me for a second. I want to get another breather.
All right, Lee Mazzilli waiting for Darwin with a runner at second and 2 away. And he drives it foul, turned on it too quickly. Against the facade of the mezzanine, and it's still 1-2.
Actually, he got away with that one. Biggio was set up for the outside part of the plate. They were going to go away from Mazzilli. He threw that one inside right into his power.
After almost a double holiday of 2 big crowds, good crowd here tonight, Bill, on a Wednesday night, as a lot of people, of course, are anticipating the bat night Friday and the ball day Saturday. Over 26,000 here tonight. Nice Wednesday night crowd.
You bet. They're treated to a good game.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Struck out the side. Six outs for Darwin, 4 of them strikeouts. Leaves Jeffries at second. We're in the middle of the 6th inning on HSE. Got a good one going for you here. And as Mazzilli strikes out, they're gone in the 6th. And the Astros, with Darwin maintaining the 2-run lead. It is 6-4 on Home Sports Entertainment. Hotel, as does Mike Anastasio.
There's Rick Aguilera now. He'll be the 3rd pitcher used. Don Ozzie did a good job coming in and getting Doran on strikeouts.
But you're right about Mike, though. He doesn't get a lot of sun, because even on the days he isn't in the truck, he's busy editing. That's a strike.
Yeah.
Davis tonight has walked twice, flied out once. Leading off the 6th against Aguilera, their 3rd pitcher. A little tight, had him tied up inside. Houston's out hit New York 11-9. Astros lead the Mets 6-4. Rubber game, off day tomorrow. Montreal comes in for the weekend, building toward the break, and what a way to build to a break. Scott and Langston on Sunday. Good pitch. He got a buggy whip, this guy.
I tell you, Aguilera's found his role finally, don't you think? He was going to be the 4th or 5th starter for the Mets for many years. Kept being moved out of the lineup. Then it was David Cohn, or it'd be someone else, Sid Fernandez. But now, with the right-hander gone and the trade McDowell, they've settled in with Aguilera and Myers, and they are very pleased with Aguilera. You know, 62 strikeouts and 50 innings pitched. That's pretty impressive.
1-2 to the big bumper.
So is that 1.78 ERA.
Yeah. Hey, let's check on some Budweiser scoreboard here. The Phillies did it.
Yes, they did, by 1 over Cincinnati. Reds having some problems. The Giants beat Pittsburgh tonight 6-4. So
puts
the Giants
slant on this game, doesn't it?
Sure does. Makes it awfully important. Montreal
came back.
With a win over Atlanta.
Base hit up the middle for Glenn Davis. His first tonight, his 3rd in the series. You know, Atlanta had Montreal down one time 4-0. Couple of more here.
There it is. The Cubs keep going, defeating San Diego by 2.
The Dodgers continue to have trouble scoring. They just got a deuce there, but it took them 7 innings to get on the board tonight.
St. Louis had some good pitching. McGrain with an excellent game last night.
Astros with 12 hits now. A ball to Poole. Poole is 1 for 3, a double in the 4th inning. Astros with 12 hits, had a 5-0 lead at one time. Mets have cut it down to 2. It's 6-4 Houston. Cut off that corner, and it's 1-1 to TP. Caminetti on deck. Hatcher's had 2 hits. Ramirez 2 hits. Biggio 2 hits. Everybody in the lineup, including the starting pitcher Knepper, have had hits. There's a high foul. Hatcher 2, Young 1, Doran 1, Davis 1, Poole 1, Caminetti a triple, Ramirez a pair of singles, Biggio a pair of hits, and Darwin, the second pitcher's contributed, not with a hit, but with a sacrifice fly RBI.
Aguilera has a couple of balks called on him this season. His windup, his stretch, I should say, he doesn't come all the way down, so you might want to keep an eye on that. He was awfully close, I thought, on that last pitch to balk.
A ball and 2 strikes. Are they going to get 2? Yep, on a stretch by Tuffle. Had to wait till he called it. That's how close it was on the throw into the dirt.
Boy, this hit by Poole almost handcuffs Jeffries. Watch him. Whoop. Did a good job of staying with it. This was a great play, and Tuffle pretty close. See if Tuffle, that was a good job by the shortstop Elster, because Davis was coming in hard.
So it's 2 away now. Mets get their first double play tonight and their second of the series, and here's Caminetti. Caminetti led off the 3rd inning with a triple. Ball deep to left center that Samwell got leather on, but not around. Whoa, look what I found. If he doesn't get it, it's up the middle. Crack a smile after that play. So it started with a single and double play. Look at that. Boy, he just snapped leather right around that baby. Well, that's it in 6 innings, isn't it? Milo Hamilton moving aside, getting ready for a double bill of Worrell and Brown to take you the rest of the way. Hang on to this, Wall.
Okay, I'll get a save.
On HSE, Astros lead it by 2.
Danny Darwin out for his 3rd inning of work here, trying to get the win over the New York Mets. He'll face Samwell to lead it off in the 7th inning. Good slider over for a strike. And here to call the final few innings for you, Bill Brown.
Thank you, Bill Worrell. 6-4 the lead, and Darwin finds himself now matched with Rick Aguilera. Gave up some hard-hit balls, but is throwing hard, so the relievers are after each other at the moment. 0-2 the count on Samwell. Phillies beat the Reds in 10, 3-2. Roger McDowell beat John Franco. He doesn't lose many.
You know, that could be new life for McDowell and Dykstra. That trade looks better every day for the Phillies.
Yes, it does, Bill. They bring that winning element to the ball club, which is rebuilding now. There are a couple of tough customers, real battlers. Still a 1-2 count. Phillies are doing a makeover. They tried it with what they had. They've had some injuries, of course. And then Mike Schmidt retired, so they've had to change it midstream. Knocks the mask off Biggio. Still a 1-2 count.
Tell me a catcher doesn't take a beating back there.
Like they say about a football player when he gets hit, looking through the ear holes afterwards.
Good old mask.
Samwell fouling it back, keeps it count at 1-2. The Phillies, Bill, are a much tougher team to beat right now. They're getting some pitching, and they made the trade with San Diego before the deal with the Mets. Of course, John Kruk now out with an injury, but should he come back and hit the way he's capable of hitting, that'll give them even more from that deal. Terry Poole is waiting in right. 1 out in the 7th.
Darwin did a good job of dropping down, almost sidearm. for that fastball and delivered it to the outside part of the plate, and that's really the only place Samuel had to go with it. And when you throw one like this to a right-hander like Samuel, you diffuse his power. Now watch Darwin come down, sidearm to the outside part of the plate, and there's really nowhere Samuel can go with it. Good pitch.
Mark Carrion takes a strike. He drove in a run with a single to left in the fifth. He's 1 for 3.
Really tough on a right-handed batter when a pitcher like Darwin comes across his body the way he does.
And the breaking ball. 0-2. However, should a pitcher make a mistake on that delivery inside, it can really be ripped.
Oh, yeah.
So the location is the important thing. Darwin can't get it. Ramirez can't make a throw. Carrion beats it up the line pretty well. He gets an infield hit.
Actually, Rafi gets it in his glove, but he doesn't have his throwing hand anywhere near it. Now watch. He'll reach down and get it, but see, his hand is way out. He just no way to make the throw.
Davis holds Carrion. Howard Johnson.
I like that.
Carrion on.
Yes.
The thing we're reminded of now with Hojo is that 10 of his home runs have come from the 7th inning on this year. Ball 1. You don't like to be reminded about things like that at this stage of the game with a 2-run lead. Right now, the Mets are probably looking to him more than ever, though, Bill. The Strawberry and the others out. Johnson gets under it. The pop up to Ramirez. 2 out.
Well, Bill, there was a classic case of power versus power. Darwin didn't fool around. He came right after Howard Johnson. So I have to figure that Darwin, now Andy Anderson's going to go on down there. Andy's going to take his warm-up pitches, Big Larry, because we've still got several innings to go, and they don't want to pitch Darwin much more than 3 innings. Let Anderson have maybe the last couple. And Augusto.
Right. Kevin McReynolds drove in a run with a sacrifice fly in the 5th. He's 1 for 2 with that RBI. Pitcher spot due up 3rd in the last of the 7th. And as you mentioned, the toll of innings on Darwin, it would be a lot to expect him to finish this game. Here's a strike on McReynolds.
Tough decision for a manager to make, though, because you've got a pitcher rolling along like Darwin, throwing very well. You say, well, if I take him out and the other guy's not having a good night, I'm in trouble. But you really have to look down the road to the Montreal Expos coming into town. You don't want to blow it all right here.
Ball hit well, but Terry Poole is there. And the Astros and Darwin are through the top of the 7th inning. That might be it for Danny, who's gone 3 so far. Middle of the 7th, and the Astros appreciate his work in holding on to their 6-4 lead. The 6-4 lead for the Astros as they bat in the 7th inning. Danny Darwin is scheduled up 3rd, but apparently there will be a pinch hitter, and the official scorer John Wilson has just announced that if the Astros maintain their lead, Darwin will get the win. Ramirez is 2 for 3. Elster gets him 1 out.
He came in a tough situation. You know, Knepper has to go to 5 to be eligible anyway. He did not do that. But most of all, Darwin came in, the Mets with a chance to take the lead in the game. So he was able to close it down effectively for Houston. Darwin did a super job.
3 innings, only 2 hits allowed and no runs. He came in with that real jam with runners on, 2 men on and nobody out, and only 1 run scored. Aguilera now will face Biggio, who's 2 for 3 with an RBI.
You notice the difference in the reaction of the fans when Biggio's name is announced? I hear a lot of screams. It's kind of like, well, you know, when they announce another player, that's just the polite applause. But I think he's becoming a matinee hero of sorts here.
Oh, he is. He is. They love him. The young fans, especially. Yeah. They can relate to that youth. There's a strike, and the way he plays the game.
Elvis Biggio, huh?
Just keep playing that guitar.
Yeah, you just keep stringing out those singles and clutch home runs.
Craig Reynolds is in the on-deck circle to pinch hit for Darwin, with Anderson and Augusto continuing their efforts in the pen. No balls, 2 strikes. Back again for a moment, Bill, to that announcement by John Wilson. Maybe some of you are wondering why he would announce that right now. Because the official scorer does have the latitude to decide who would get the win when the starter doesn't go 5. And in this case, the Astros had the lead, and they have so far held on to it.
And we have seen on 2 occasions this season, Bill, where the third pitcher in got the win.
Right, because let's say, which is not the case tonight, that Darwin had not been particularly effective. Let's say he'd come in the 4th and given up a run there and another run and left with a 1-run lead and had given up a couple of runs in an inning and a third, something like that.
Say 7-6 right now,
right,
rather than 6-4.
Right. He wouldn't have to get the win. Maybe the pitcher who came in next could be awarded the win. That's up to the official scorer. It's not automatic. But if the starter doesn't go 5, he for sure can't get the win. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Anderson is heading for the dugout. Biggio pulls it just foul. Still 1-2. Well, looking at what the Mets have due up in the 8th. Tuffle, Jeffries, Lombardi. Right, left, right. Art Howe also has to keep his eye on who's available to pinch hit. Left-handers, Strawberry, Mackey Sasser. Probably he wouldn't do that because he's the backup catcher. Mookie Wilson. Still a 1-2 count with a foul ball.
Strawberry wasn't under the impression, talking to him in batting practice tonight, that he would be used at all.
But if it gets down to a man on base and 1 out remaining for the Mets with a 2-run deficit,
I'd call on him.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Biggio. Cincinnati lost in the 10th, as we mentioned, 3-2. The Reds had trailed the Giants by 5, but the Giants have won 6-4 over Pittsburgh. Wilson beat Walk. Drops the Reds to 6 games back. And 2 the count on Biggio now.
This has been a good at bat for Craig because Aguilera's thrown everything at him. Some wicked breaking pitches. He jammed him inside. He turned on that pitch. And Biggio has worked the count out to 3-2.
In that Pittsburgh loss to the Giants, Barry Bonds hit a homer. 3-run shot to tie it in the 9th. That breaks the father-son record for the Bonds family. Oh, that pitch taken for ball 4 by Biggio. Looked pretty good, but Craig had a good look at it too. He takes the 1-out walk. Craig Reynolds is announced now as a pinch hitter for Darwin.
Well, if you're a lip reader, you may have to delete a little bit of what you read because Aguilera not agreeing with Tom Hallion on that call at all.
Reynolds carries a .220 average to the plate. 91 at-bats, 20 base hits, 1 of them a homer, 7 runs batted in. 4 for 21 as a pinch hitter with 4 runs batted in. Craig looks at ball 1. He got into the route last night, which might help tonight as he comes up in a pinch hitting role. Craig had 1 at bat in the 8th inning. That was against Don Ossie. He got a base knocks it off David Cone in the opener. Fouls it away with Biggio going 1-1.
Hey, he's going for his third stolen base tonight. I wonder if we ought to joke with him about going for Coleman's streak.
Consecutive stolen base record.
Well, he hasn't been caught yet, has he?
Nope. Might take him a few more years than Vince. Vince is up to about 44 in a row now. But that's really important too, knowing when to run. In certain situations not being thrown out. In other situations, go ahead and take a chance. If you do get thrown out, it doesn't cost your team that much.
You know, last time St. Louis was in town, remember, Whitey was a little disappointed. He thought maybe Coleman wasn't running enough.
Yes. The hands. For balance, the pitch inside. 2 balls and a strike. Those hands used to pack the mail out of the tailback position to the tune of about 1,300 yards one season as a high school tailback. But the legs took a big beating. And that's why he's playing baseball.
Well, I could see why he'd be a good running back.
You sure can. Darting out of that I formation. Reynolds pulls it foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And you'd have to imagine, Bill, that Craig would be just perfect for that tailback role. Short, hard for the defensive lineman to see. Cutting off the block of the fullback and going to daylight. And tough to bring down.
Oh, yeah, he's stocky. He's very thick.
Aguilera from Brigham Young University, drafted from high school as a third baseman by the Cardinals, then started pitching his sophomore year at BYU.
He's got a good arm.
He really does, and he's become a very effective reliever. That's what he didn't know when he went into the bullpen, whether he'd like it or not, and he certainly does. Popped up. Johnson wants it. 2 outs.
Did he have any choice?
Not really. Although the way it's evolved, you wonder, with the injury to Gooden. Of course, the Mets have already decided David West goes into the rotation. They'll just stay with him. But any further injury problems, and they might give him a choice.
You know, every year Aguilera was to be the number 4 or 5 man. He always had an injury, and somebody would come to the front, like a David Cone. Now it's a West or somebody like that. So I think maybe he's found him a home here in this long relief.
It'd be hard to move him out of there now.
You look down on the paper and look at his stats.
Hatcher's been on 3 times. 2 singles, 2 runs scored, a walk and a strikeout. Biggio has certainly been on. You can tell that from the sliding he's done. He's wearing half the dirt cutouts on his uniform tonight. Strike 1. Montreal beat Atlanta 7-5. Dennis Martinez won it. Well, the Expos will come riding in for the Friday night opener with a full head of steam. Hatcher fouls it away. No balls, 2 strikes.
Did Tim Raines play today?
We don't know. Hudler, Wallach, Foley hit home runs. Atlanta started Lilliquist. Hudler might have been at second base. Well, Foley probably was at second base. Hudler might have been in the outfield. Raines had 1 at bat last night, and then they pulled him out of the game because the grounds were very wet.
I think they were aiming for this Houston series to try to get him back.
That's what Buck Rogers told us in Montreal. They certainly want to make sure that that quadricep is ready to go, and if they are in doubt, they'll probably wait till the All-Star break. Biggio going, and it's fouled away. 0-2. So the Expos, if the Mets do not turn things around, will have a 3-game lead on them. Chicago won, so the Cubs stay 2 games behind. 5-3, they beat San Diego. And the Padres now have slipped 9.5 behind the Giants. The Dodgers at last report were losing 3-2 in the last of the 8th. If they don't turn it around, they would fall 10 back. Starting to be some separation in the Western Division. 2 strikes. Seattle leads Minnesota 2-1. They're in the 6th inning now. Ken Griffey Jr. has his 12th long ball. Kansas City and Oakland tied 5-5 in the 4th. Biggio goes again. Hatcher foul. The Astros would love to add to this 6-4 lead, Bill.
Almost. He just didn't quite. He had the right idea. The inside out swing, Biggio going. Everything was done to perfection. Except he couldn't quite get it on the line. Biggio would have scored easy.
Been a tiring night for that young man. All the pitches he's caught. A little home plate brush with McReynolds earlier. Been on 3 times, stolen 2 bases. Knocked in a run. He deserves a day off tomorrow. Hatcher again gets around just a little late. Bob Milacki won for Baltimore, 5-4 over Toronto.
Boy, he's having a good year.
He is. They've really had a team effort. It's interesting to see how they'll fare, though, with the pressure building and building in the second half. That puts Toronto 10 games back now. It's going to be tough.
Tuffle's going to have to be awake. Hatcher with that inside-out swing has gone to the right side a couple of times.
Biggio going again. Elster snaps off a throw, safe. Hatcher's speed gives him the infield hit. That's his 3rd hit of the night. He's been on 4 times.
Oh, this is almost an impossible play for Elster. Hatcher with that great speed, got it in play. That's no man's land for a shortstop.
And Hatcher was flying.
And Biggio had a good jump so that there would be no possible force at second base. So the only play he had was at first.
That gives Young a shot at driving in a run. He's done that once tonight. 1 for 3 with a walk. That ball rolled up Elster's arm a little bit, it looked like. Aguilera throws a strike. We're in the last of the 7th. The Astros lead 6-4. 23 hits total in the game, 13 belonging to Houston. Lombardi and Aguilera talk it over. Night, Friday night, for those 14 and under, the first 15,000 will get a coupon for a bat. And then Porsche and Perez take them out. 7:05 start. Elster stays with a bad hop. Jeffries couldn't find the bag at first, but got the job done for the 6-4 force to win the 7th. No runs, 1 hit, 2 left. Through 7, the Astros still lead it 4. Through a dead arm stage about 10 days ago, and Art Howe and company gave him a little rest, and now he's come back out of that strong. Facing Tim Tuffle is 2 for 3. Ball 1. Ed Ott, the bullpen coach, was talking about that before the game tonight, Bill, and asking about all the innings that Anderson and Darwin in their middle 30s are piling up. At least Anderson is in his middle 30s. 2 balls and no strikes. He said, well, yes, we were mildly thinking that we'd have to keep an eye on it when the year began. And then when we had all the extra inning games and what have you, it became a source of something that we had to watch. 3 balls, no strikes. That's when you have to really be an expert, as Les Moss and company are, about knowing when to back off using a reliever who's been used a lot.
Anderson has come out with his best pitch, the slider, but he hasn't had it close to the plate first 3 pitches. There he's high, so that's 4 balls in a row.
Not a a sharp start for him. Tuffle takes the walk. He's on for the third time. Bringing up Jeffries. Jeffries has hits his last 2 times up. He's 2 for 3 after not being in the original starting lineup. Now Dave Smith is hurrying down toward the bullpen. Sometimes it doesn't take very many pitches for a message to come out that good snap may not be on the slider, Bill.
Not only the good snap, it wasn't close. And Andy has impeccable control. So they are keeping a close eye on him.
Jeffries takes ball 1. This is Anderson's second appearance of the year against the Mets. The first was Monday night when he had 1 inning and didn't allow a hit. He did walk 1 and struck out 1 in the 3-1 loss. 1-1. He needed that strike.
Yeah, there was a backdoor slider. He's added that to his pitches this year. Very effective. Now, you don't want to get that out over the plate, but if you can bring it in against a left-hander over the outside part of the plate, it's a very effective pitch.
1-2 to Jeffries. Opponents are hitting only .156 against Anderson. Larry had a couple of weeks on the disabled list when he injured a knee running the bases, and at the time his ERA was 0. You wondered how he could pick up from there, but he did after he came back. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Struggling a little bit here, Bill.
Even the swinging strike was a ball, but it had a sharp break on it, so he's really only thrown 1 strike since he's come out here.
Question being, do you have to throw a strike to Jeffries?
You have to get a little closer than that.
He's 3-2 on him now, and the Mets trailing 6-4 here in the 8th to have a chance to get things going again.
You want to make him put the ball in play. Sure don't want to create base runners.
Runner goes, and it's ball 4. Anderson has walked the first 2 he's faced in the 8th inning. A big dilemma for manager Art Howe. And Darryl Strawberry comes out to the on-deck circle. Now, the plot thickens.
What is it ever? See, they go back, Les Moss along with Art Howe, and they start checking all of their options.
Strawberry announced as the pinch hitter for Lombardi. And Darryl, who finished second in the MVP voting last year, of course, has been sidelined by that broken toe. He has it bandaged outside the shoe, the right foot. Augusto and Dave Smith are in the bullpen. Dave hasn't thrown very many pitches. So do you go with a left-hander? Elster's on deck.
Well, 1 swing of the bat, and the lead goes the other way.
224, 16 homers, 37 batted in. Ball 1.
You see the tape on his right shoe. But his push-off foot is his left foot, and that's okay. He's got that protective device right over that toe. But the key for Strawberry is that his good foot is the push-off foot on his left side. So he might, first couple of swings, if he gets one he likes, he'll be going for the downs.
Strike, and it's 1-1. It's a little tough for him to run. Should he hit the ball on the ground, there might be an even better chance the Astros could turn 2. Strawberry 5 for 20 against Houston with a homer and 2 runs batted in this year. That one's fouled, and it's 1-2 on him as Bill Robinson throws it back in.
Boy, he was really limping. He didn't hit that off his foot, did he?
Might have, Bill.
Let's look at it on the replay. Watch him stride out. See, he kicks it way up in the air and plants it. Oh, he did hit it right on the top of the broken toe. Ouch.
Isn't that inevitable?
I thought he might have. Oh, my goodness. That hurts up here.
He's 0 for 3 as a pinch hitter with 1 RBI this year. And another foul ball. Still 1-2 as Anderson battles Strawberry with a game on the line. 6-4 Astros. Strawberry unloaded a home run last Friday night in Cincinnati. He now has 202 for his career.
You've got a home run hitter against a pitcher who doesn't give up the home run very often. I think it's been, what, 112 innings?
Long streak, and in the Dome, 112 and a third innings for Larry Anderson between home runs. Mike Schmidt hit the last one off him in May of 1987. Two balls, 2 strikes.
Well, Anderson has really pitched himself into a predicament here.
Full count. Now the Mets with 2 men on. Tuffle and Jeffries. Strawberry at the plate. Full count. Nobody out. Are really stirring things up. Davey Johnson's club has come back from a 5-0 deficit to make it very interesting. Davis to Anderson, and that's the only one they'll get. Strawberry not running very fast at all. Retired, but Tuffle and Jeffries move up on the play. Well, now the Mets could tie it with a well-placed base hit.
Boy, Strawberry's really hurting as he limps back to the dugout. I think you can X him on the All-Star game. He was voted as one of the starting outfielders, but if Tim Raines is healthy, he'll probably take Strawberry's place. It just doesn't look like he's going to be able to play by Tuesday. That's it for him tonight.
Mookie Wilson is announced as a pinch hitter for Kevin Elster. He's a switch hitter. So Anderson waits now to face him. Wilson had a rough night last night. 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts as he started in right field.
Well,
he's 1 for 12 against the Astros this year.
Anderson not looking quite as sharp as we've seen him previously. I tell you, when he's got that slider going good, he's almost unhittable. But he's having trouble with his location tonight.
Wilson's hitting 198, 3 homers. He's driven in 15. Ball 1. Mackey Sasser is on deck. The Mets shooting the works. Wilson 3 for 15 as a pinch hitter. 2 runs batted in. 1-1. Doesn't look like his best slider.
Nope.
He'll try to survive.
It's flattened out a little bit for him.
Two balls and a strike to Wilson.
I think the one thing he's done too, working with Les Moss over the last couple of years, is increase his velocity, not only on his slider but his fastball a couple of miles per hour. He may need that here.
There's an awfully big pitch. 2-2. As there was on Strawberry.
Let's give you an idea of what he thinks about it. Yeah, he knew it. Didn't like it.
Does not have that pinpoint control, and he comes now to a 3-2 pitch. Wilson to right center. Young is over and ready. Here's the tag at third, and the throw goes into third base. Tuffle scores 6-5 now on Wilson's sacrifice fly. And now Mackey Sasser will be announced as the pinch hitter for Aguilera.
Number 2, Mackey Sasser. That's for Aguilera. Sasser.
Davy Johnson's club has not fallen back far enough that this is not a most interesting game. It's a one-run affair.
Good play by Gerald Young of going ahead and throwing to the cutoff man, keeping that runner on second if possible. Throw to the plate would have been futile.
A .272 hitter comes up. He started last night, tripled in a run and scored in the fifth, was 1 for 4. Sasser takes ball 1.
Now Art Howe may come with his left-hander here because there are no more catchers for the Mets. Sasser is it, so they can't pinch hit for Sasser. I got a feeling he's going to come and get Augusto. That's what he's going to do.
With a 6-5 lead, Juan Augusto comes in to face Sasser. And Anderson, and now Sasser is ready. Jeffrey's on at second. Could be the tying run in the game. It's tapped off his foot, foul, strike 1.
As a pinch hitter, Sasser is 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs. So he has come off the bench swinging the bat.
Biggio goes after it. It popped out of his mitt. 1-2. Davis and Poole are due up in the bottom of the inning for the Astros, who cling to a 6-5 lead after opening up a 5-0 bulge after 3. Strike 3 call, and Augusto gets a very big out for the Houston Astros. 1 run, no hits, no errors, 1 left. Middle of the 8th, it's 6-5 Astros.